Thanks for staying. It's now time for the news. 2 persons have been found dead with 3 others missing following a communal clash at Kujeri in the West District of the Upper West region. The clashes occurred between some members of the Samuni clan and over 300 armed men from Kujeri and adjoining communities. The dead bodies were found in a semi-decomposed state and replete with several machete wounds in shallow graves. JoyNews' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that no arrests have been made.
According to spokesperson of the Samune clan, Alhaji Abubakar Sufyan, occurred last Sunday when they sent 27 young men to their kraal at the Bise enclave in the West District to inspect their cattle and also cede portions of their lands to persons who wish to go into farming this season. They were allegedly attacked by over 300 men, resulting in 2 deaths and 3 persons missing.
Little did we know there were a group of people armed, ready to attack, and they actually attacked us. In the process, the 27 people who went, only 23 returned. So we have been trying to locate the others. Only yesterday we managed to locate 2 dead bodies, semi-decomposed. But we are still going today to launch another search, whether we will get the other 2. That is, and then to see how we can bury the decomposed or semi-decomposed bodies of the 2 that were found yesterday.
And so that means that there was some kind of a disagreement over the lands?
Sure. There are people we know people from Sankana who are settled at Gudayiri. Originally they came from Sankana to settle there. And over the years they have now tend to call themselves the landowners.
The 2 semi-decomposed bodies has been identified as Baba Inusa, alias Dragon, and Seydou Salifu. Alhaji Sufyan suspected that the deadly and cowardly act may have been committed by settler communities around Gudayiri.
They were gathered from principally Gudayiri and all the surrounding villages that are settlers but now want to be landowners, including Bayiri, Yaro, in so many other places that for now, for some special reasons, we have to lie low with some of the names.
He acknowledged the support given to them by the police, but will want them to be more professional and unbiased in the discharge of their duties.
There's a biased view that VC now send people to go and attack some people. That is a very biased view, and we don't know the source of it, and that is what is circulating. And that seems to be the basis of action of some of the people. But I don't know whether their view has since changed, because they have been to the site. They have been to the crime scene, and they have seen the magnitude of the problem. And I wonder if somebody will send 27 people to go and face 350 well-armed men. I don't know the circumstances under which somebody will send 27 people to go and face a whole army of 350 well-armed people.
So you are seeking for justice?
Sure. And we will push for justice until justice is done.
Since the incident happened last Sunday, no arrest has so far been made by the police. Our information that we have gleaned on indicates that 6 or 7 cartridges were retrieved from the scene of the incident. The police for now says they have been able to bring the situation under control. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Let's move on to some other stories now. And managers of Ghana Gas say the maintenance work at its Itiapo processing plant will soon be completed. For some days now, some households have had to endure 5 hours of power outage due to the deficit caused by the maintenance works. General Manager in charge of operations, Robert Lati, says there will be a more efficient service once the maintenance works are done.
Currently, Ghana Gas, as a company in the oil and gas sector, especially when it comes to gas, we are always mindful about safety of our facility, safe workplace, integrity of our equipment and facilities, and as well as efficiency of whatever we do. As part of all this, we do shut down periodically when there's a need of any safety critical matters on the facility. And so this current shutdown is a planned shutdown maintenance where the company has sat down, planned it as a result of safety critical issues happening on the facility. And we need to provide intervention to those critical safety issues. Management has also put in adequate resources just to make sure that we undertake this maintenance program within the schedule that have been approved by the Ministry of Energy and with support of other stakeholders.
You're still watching the AM News. Let's do some other stories now. And the Electricity Company of Ghana is still on its mobilization drive to collect monies owed it by customers. And in the Ashanti region, the regional director there, Engineer David Buedia-Samoa, led the Revenue Protection Task Force to disconnect power at the official residence of his friend, the District Chief Executive of Amansia South. The task force also took away electrical cables used for the illegal service connection. Engineer Samoa told JoyNews his stance of professionalism over friendship motivated him to disconnect power to the house. Ohim Interior of our security desk has more.
Clement Opoku's residence was among several private homes and public institutions disconnected on day one of the ECG revenue mobilization exercise at Mansour Dubia, the capital of Amansia South District. The District Assembly Office complex was the first to escape disconnection after 19,000 Ghana cedis unpaid electricity bills were settled instantly. The district's education and immigration offices, however, had their power supply cut by the task force. Some residential facilities, including the District Assembly bungalows, also suffered disconnection for non-payment of bills. The official residence of the DCE for the area, Clement Opoku, was next to suffer power cut. The ward house had at least 4 floodlights on when the ECG Revenue Protection Task Force visited at 3:42 p.m. Ashanti Regional Director of ECG, Engineer David Buedia-Samoa, tells JoyNews power supply to the DC's apartment was illegal.
This service serves the DCE for is it Amansia South? That's right. The service connection to the house is unauthorized. It doesn't go through any ECG document. So we term it as illegal extension. We are terminating the service, the illegality. Then if you need the service, you should apply. In the first place, there's no application. Okay. That is why we call it illegal. There's no application to ECG at all in any way. So now that we have identified it, we are removing the wires, and then every energy he has used over the period that he has used it will recover. Daytime, outside light, you don't need it. So this is a complete waste. And this goes to make us believe that probably he's not paying for it.
Engineer Buedia-Samoa described the GCE as his friend, but explained his stance of professionalism over friendship.
But the DC is my good friend. Oh. I mean, you know, he comes to my office, we chat. He calls me, he comes to my office, we chat. But this is purely a professional work that we are doing.
How do you feel to do this to your friend, a man that you say he's your friend? Now, from today onwards, he's going to sleep in darkness.
Yeah, as a professional, you need to distinguish friendship from professionalism. What I'm doing now is a pure professional work that I'm doing. We are friends. I mean, it doesn't change it. So I don't think that our friendship will, this will mar our friendship, unless the person decides. But as far as I'm concerned, friendship grows when the right things are done. So we are only helping him do the right things, and the friendship will grow.
From Mansour Adubia for JoyNews, Ohim Interior reporting.
Let's do some politics now. And former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo, has stated that one major challenge facing the people of Lambusi is the lack of quality leadership. He noted the constituency has constantly lagged behind, resulting in underdevelopment. Dr. Bayo said given the opportunity to be the legislator, the narrative would change and he will be the lead advocate for development in the area. He made these remarks after his vetting, paving the way for him to contest against two others in the NDC's parliamentary primaries next month.
The former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo, first debunked the assertion that he is new in the NDC.
So for anybody doubting my credentials within the party, they should visit Lambusi and find out who brought the first set of doctors to operate in Lambusi, who started the renovation of the party office years ago, who took new passport pictures for everybody when the party decided to introduce passport pictures in our register. They should find out from Lambusi who paid for the filing fee for all our branch executives, and they will realize that I am not new in the party at all.
Dr. Bayo said one major challenge faced by the Lambusi constituency is the lack of quality leadership, which he hopes to bring to bear if given the nod. He added that he is going to be the lead advocate for the development of the area and spearhead its development.
We have had leaders who have tried their due, but we need a contemporary leader, a transgenerational leader, one with a vision, one who carries a certain charisma to carry the people along, and one who can act as an advocate of Lambusi. Lambusi has lacked a lot of advocacy. If you come into the Lambusi constituency, nationally, people do not know a lot about us. People do not know the kind of people who are even in Lambusi. People ask me, what are the tribes in Lambusi? Lambusi, we have Sisala, we have Dagari, we have Mochi people, we have Wala people. It's a mix of people in Lambusi, but no one knows all this about us. So lacking in Lambusi is advocacy, and then the type of leadership that will project the image of the place to attract the needed development.
To achieve that, he has to first beat former member of parliament for the constituency, Edward Waladere, who has also filed to contest the primaries.
There's nobody in Lambusi constituency who cannot, or who probably will say, Eddie, for this AD have not done anything. We have 77 polling stations and communities. I can bet you, go to every community, you will see a project there. For the 8 years, I have drilled and installed existing boreholes, 132.
Edward Dere is largely blamed for the party ceding the parliamentary seat to the MPP, a blame he has strenuously denied.
If you talk about human relations, I will not disagree with you. It depends on how you look at me, or probably how you want to associate with me. And you know, for MPs or public servants, you know, there are very petty issues people can take against you. I have learned a lesson, and I'm going to do it better and more united with my people than before. All those who campaign against me, today we are working together, and I can assure you, I'll do it better.
The third person in the parliamentary primary, and whose picture will appear number 2 on the ballot paper, is research scientist Dr. Emmanuel Kambampanyang.
I say, look, our seat has gone back. It has gone to NPP. My priority will be for us to get the seat back. That's number one. Irrespective of who wins the primaries, what I mean, Dr. Bayo or Honorable Edward, my priority will be for us to unite and get the seat back from NPP.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Away from politics, hundreds of small-scale farmers in Chinchunkura, a community in the Ashanti region, are losing their livelihoods as traditional authority there takes over lands. The farmers say over 1,500 acres of land have already been taken away. Many of them rely on these farmlands, and they say they've managed them for over 70 years. The farmers are pleading with the Idra Traditional Council to reconsider its decision. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin was in the community and reports.
The affected farmers ride their motorbikes to some of the farmlands that have been taken over. This is one of the 1,500 acres of farmlands the farmers say have been taken over by the Ejura Traditional Council. Abdurrahman Hudu is the leader of the farmers.
Some few years ago, we had a call from Ejura Traditional Council to stop farming on some portion of the land in Chinchunkura community, which was about 500 acres of land. The community members pleaded to the Traditional Council to rescind such decision, but all efforts could not yield any positive results.
Abdurrahman says when the Traditional Council took over the farmlands, most of the farmers relocated while others lost faith in life because that was their only source of livelihood.
About 1,000 farmers from Chinchunkura and the nearby communities were farming on that portion of land. So when the Traditional Council took the land from the farmers, most of the people relocated from the community as a result of all hope lost, while others turned to drunkards and now they are a burden to the society as a whole. Fast forward, in the early February of this year, 2023, one Tuesday morning, we had a call from the Traditional Council again not to step our foot on the remaining farm land in the community. This land we are talking about is a land managed by the community for over 70 years. This land is a land the whole community depends on it for their farming activities. And the land size is over 1,000 acres of land.
According to the small-scale farmers, taking over the farmlands is likely to result in one of two outcomes: community breakdown or hunger because they produce to feed themselves.
So this news shook the foundation of the community, and we decided to appeal to the Traditional Council to look at the decision again because it will lead to the collapse of the community as a whole, or either hunger for over 500 people in the community.
We have nowhere to go. I have about 7 children, but they have taken over my 2-acre farm. That is why we are hoping the chiefs will do something about it. My son would farm and provide food for me if the land was available. When I first came, the residents were able to cultivate and share some of their farm produce with me. But now that they've taken over the land, where can I get farm produce?
If somebody's
The Member of Parliament for Ejura Secretary Dumasi, Mohammed Bawa Brema, says while the Traditional Council has power over the lands, they should reconsider their decision.
So for that matter, that's why I'm making a passionate appeal to Nananom, and I know they will listen, that at least we should have, we know the land belongs to them, traditionally it belongs to them, but in apportioning the land, they should at least attach a human face.
According to Mr. Bremer, the main source involved in farming is land, and once the land is taken over, the farmer's very existence is lost.
That's what I said. If somebody is in an area and his major source of livelihood is farming, and we all know that in farming, the major capital that involves in farming is land. And once the land has been taken over, the person feels that his very existence on Earth is no longer necessary because you cannot live on the planet Earth and will not eat.
Back in Chinchunkura community, the farmers are pleading with the traditional authority to reconsider their decision.
They are the custodians of the land. But what we are saying is that they should reconsider their decision because we have no any other work apart from the farming. And we don't have any land apart from this particular land we are talking about. We are using this medium to appeal to Asante Merura Otumfo Osei II to come to our aid so we will have land to farm on it.
Efforts to speak to the Traditional Council have not been successful. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now, 16-year-old Kwame Lawson needs urgent surgery due to a collection of fluid in his brain, I beg your pardon. Now, the condition has weakened his body, causing him to be bedridden. Doctors say delayed treatment could lead to his death. But Lawson doesn't have any money for the surgery. There's more in this report.
Kwame Lawson has been bedridden after the growing abscess in the brain. He has been on admission at the Communal Teaching Hospital for weeks, but his family is unable to settle his surgical costs. The rising financial burden has left the family worried. Akwesi Lawson is an elder brother who has been taking care of Kwame.
1 month ago, I say, was coming out of fear, to your birth, not to say like in a body, in we are the assassin is a big cry like a quadrubin, the Munsana and Tessa, nay, be a person, a home, tea. I didn't see a bonnet.
This started 1 month ago when he was in school. He complained of discomfort, but we thought he was feeling lazy. Suddenly, we realized a growing boil. We sent him somewhere for herbal medication, but nothing worked out. Then we came to the Communal Teaching Hospital. Everything we do does not succeed. We plead for help.
No more transfer, Omuntimi, and Yanyakanity and Fankusunya, and I had the Bursunya. The Bursunya, or better on 3 days. After 3 days, no more transfers and black conformity. AG. And I had be drew and so dear. I say, like, Yaya from dear and so stone and so city. Tikan, yes, and say, I don't for Mumay and I could not move to maintenance. A
neurologist at the Communal Teaching Hospital, Dr. Sarah Samoa, says Kwame must be on an intravenous antibiotics, but the financial deficit of his family has been an impediment.
From how he presented with weakness on one side, and that could be explained with the collection he had. So he needs to undergo surgery. He needs surgical intervention, and he will also need to repeat his CT scan as it stands now, because this image has been here for more than 2 weeks. So we would want to know the current size of the past collection in the brain. Then he needs to be on IV, that is intravenous antibiotics. The standard is for us to do like 6 to 8 weeks of IV, that is intravenous antibiotics. We have started, but currently the surgery has been delayed, and the delay of the surgery is because of financial challenges on the part of the family. They need to purchase some items that are needed for the surgery. Unfortunately, they are not available in the hospital, so each patient purchases them. But they, because of financial difficulties, have not been able to purchase them.
Dr. Samoa says the condition could be severe if the surgery further delayed.
The more we delay, the more the pus sits on the brain. And we know that the brain is just made up of nervous tissue. And it's the brain that controls everything we do as human beings. So the outcome could be more neurological deficit. Already he has weakness on his left. That is in the upper and the lower limbs. We have weakness. So at the more we delay, we could have more deficits. What I mean is that more functions coming from the brain could be affected. You can see a swelling of the eye. We call that one the pot-puffy tumor. So if you're not careful, we can even have, he has a risk of what we call the cavernous sinus thrombosis. We can have an thrombus, forming in a very important vessel in the brain. And that could even take his life away from him.
President of the Waduma Foundation, Akwesi Owusu, pleads for funding support for Kwame to undergo his surgical treatment.
I'm pleading with you all. The cost of this whole entire surgery, including recovery, is going to cost a lot of money. So if you want to help, and if you hear of this plight after listening to this video, please, you can donate to the Momo numbers that will be on the screen if you're in Ghana, or you can donate through Wadoma website, which is www.wadoma.org, by simply clicking on the donate or the pay button.
For JoyNews, Nana Boachi Damkoyado reporting.
And if you're touched in any way and you would like to offer some support, you can also reach out to us here at JoyNews. Now, prayer is the Christian's key in communicating with God, and depending on the present nature of that need, well, where you also pray may be critical. This was demonstrated by Jesus Christ when he spent the eve of Crucifixion Day with his disciples in Gethsemane to engage God on the task ahead. Well, my colleague Emefa Atiamwa Eli walks us through some of these critical sites in Israel as Christians commemorate the Good Friday today.
In present-day Israel, Gethsemane is located within a valley between the Mount of Olives, where Jesus ascended into heaven, and the wall demarcating the old Jerusalem from the new. Gethsemane was the last place Jesus spent the night praying to God, saying, quote, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I will, but as you will," unquote. It's also the place the soldiers, with the support of Judas Iscariot, found and arrested him for crucifixion. It's currently a relatively small garden of about 13,000 square feet. It sits right at the foot of the Mount of Olives. Gethsemane hosts a couple of the oldest olive trees believed to have been planted from the original ones found here at the time Jesus and his disciples visited the garden to pray. It's among the highly patronized tourist sites in Jerusalem. Just beside the garden is a temple for obvious reasons, like the many other holy sites. Across the road in front of it is the way leading tourists into the Old Jerusalem. Here, tourists and pilgrims are trooping to have a look at the remnants of the Pool of Bethesda. The remains of the ancient architectural design gives the impression the area was once an intricate complex and a large temple within which the pool is situated. Today, it's very dry. What is left for one to see are the large corner and door pillars, frames, the heavy limestones used for the construction, and the multiple divisions or rooms in it. The Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall, is considered the most holy site in Jerusalem. All three major religions in Israel ascribe highly to its religious significance. Jews, Muslims, and Christians here believe the Western Wall to be the remains of the larger retaining wall of the hill of the Temple Mount. That's the place where the first temple was built by Solomon, the son of David. The spot of this temple is believed to be the same place where Abraham tied up Isaac for sacrifice. It is also thought to be the place Jacob had his dream, and it still bears a significant and divine presence of God. The Western Wall has been a major bone of contention and conflict among all three religions to date. Jews, Muslims, and Christians go there to pray on a daily basis. Today, the prayer area has been divided into two, one side for men and the other for women. Visitors entering this place are subjected to intense security scrutiny. The area is under a 24-hour heavy security surveillance. Despite the tensed atmosphere and its piety, many still get the opportunity to relax and make good memory of themselves. And so did I, in fact, with the security officers at post. Such fun. My name is Emefa Atiamwa Eli for JoyNews, Jerusalem.
And here in Kokomlemle, Ghana, I am Bernice Lansah. Much later, we'll let you tell us how you are commemorating Good Friday and celebrating the Easter holidays. We'll take a quick breather now. When we come back, we'll delve into the headlines. Do stay. So good morning to you once again. Thank you so much for making time to join us this Good Friday edition of the AM show. And our assistant editor, Samuel Kujeri, has joined me. It's good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm well, but I wish you brought that singing on the set. It was really sweet.
Why did Benjamin hand over to you?
No, not really. But I mean, you have a sweet voice.
Thank you.
Do you sing in church?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yes, I do.
But treat our viewers to
Don't worry. When we wrap up the show, I'll do it.
Oh, no. I want
Good
to
Friday, Good Friday edition. Okay, so what song will I sing for?
You Are My Sunshine, something. That is reserved for...
that. Samuel, you are as mischievous as Benjamin. Anyway, as usual, on holidays, we don't have the papers, but we do have the headlines online. So we'll get onto our online portals, myjoyonline.com. We'll start with myjoyonline.com. A couple of stories there that definitely will interest you. There's one there about the IMF, Samuel, and this is from the chief of the fund, saying she told China to speed up work on debt restructuring for Ghana and others. Wow. And if you may recall, when Benjamin Akakpo spoke to her, interviewed her, she was quite confident about the fund's readiness to support Ghana. And it appears that there have been a couple of issues that have delayed that seeming readiness, you know, which indicated some sort of urgency on the part of the fund in terms of releasing its support. But let's bring you details of that story on myjoyonline.com.
Yeah. So the details are that the International Monetary Fund chief, Kristalina Georgieva, said she told China's new top economic official, League One, they must accelerate work to reach debt restructuring agreement for countries like Zambia, Ghana, and Ethiopia. Georgieva, who met with Lee and other top Chinese officials during a visit to Ghana last month.
To China?
So, yeah, he said visit to China, okay. Last month, said on Thursday she found Lee very approachable and pragmatic, which means that maybe she was okay with...
You know, our finance minister has been there trying to speak
and
to
it was
the
last
officials.
Month, so maybe it was like the same meeting she's talking about, isn't it?
Probably.
And that, and she says, the truth is, and I was very straightforward on that, it takes far too long for that debt resolution. She told an event hosted by Meridian House and Politico. Yes, China has multiple institutions that deal with that. That makes it complicated domestically, but they have to speed up their participation. So, yeah.
Let's see how this goes. I mean, she's the chief of the fund, but again, China is a sovereign state. They
decide what to do.
They make the decision on their own. So, hopefully, the word she's put in will help us to. You know, we've postponed our hopeful dates of getting the agreement, you know, from November to, we said March, now we are in April.
And some are even saying May.
Yeah, so
people like former Finance Minister Seth Terkper believes that from what he knows and what his experiences, we may get it by end May. So let's see. Maybe that will be a realistic date, really, because we're in April, right?
And we've already crossed one leg, which is the approval of those revenue measures that government really needed badly. There's some pushback, though. Let's see how that will pan out. But until then, that's the latest update we have on the IMF.
But once it's a precondition to securing this IMF, you don't expect anything like government going back on this. Maybe they can only go back when the fund has given us the board level agreement, which of course you expect that.
And that's highly impossible, I think.
Oh, really?
I think.
Once you get the fund, I mean, you can go back to the fund and tell them, well, once we have it, we've been able to sanitize our, what we're doing. And so we think that some of these bills should be, you know, repealed so that we can then go ahead and have that room.
But then again, you know, government said the fund support was for balance of payment support, and did indicate that it was going to find ways of generating more revenue to support other aspects of the economy. And that's why I'm saying I think it's highly impossible the government will go back on this decision or will say that we're going to reverse that trend. But there are some other stories on my JoyOnline.com. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to say that, well, if the people who you are governing say that, well, because of these taxes, we are not able to produce more, so we can pay more. I mean, the government can only listen and say that since we want to ensure that we create that conducive environment for businesses to thrive, let's look at it. Because businesses are complaining that you are boxing us too much. We are told the ports are becoming empty because people are finding our port not to be attractive. So something should happen. Yes, even though we want to create spaces for us to generate revenue, but you don't want to also cripple the economy by crippling businesses.
Right. Let's see how it turns out. Only time will tell. And once again, when you said listen, I mean, my mind just went back about 2 or 3 years, looking at all the times when citizens had tried to push back, and whether or not government listened, well, that's for you to make your judgment on your own. But there are some other stories on my JoyOnline.com, and this one, Brace, is quite disturbing. 2 community police assistants assaulted over alleged fraud. And that is a really disturbing video there. So those are snapshots of that video where you see people holding clubs. Somebody appears to be throwing something at the officers who've been stripped, literally, almost naked. And Brace, the reason this disturbs me a lot is because just recently, we got to know about what happened sometime back in the Western region where these galamseyers, allegedly now one says he's an informant, well, but what the police refers to them is that they are a gang. The police refers to them as a gang. And that video disturbed me a lot. And I remember speaking to Elizabeth Var, who's done a lot of work in the galamsey, in that part of the country. And this is what she said. I feel ashamed, I feel sad. And she was concerned about what this meant as a signal for the police, which is a representative of the state. Now, today, we are seeing 2 community police assistants. This is in the Ashanti region. Well, they've been beating to pulp for allegedly, we'll scroll up so that you see the story, for allegedly defrauding some persons. Let's scroll up so that we can see details of that story. The victims, Oreku 26 and Exhibit 33, have been hospitalized at the Komfo Teaching Hospital and the Drabing Hospital respectively. In a viral video, the attackers, numbering about 10, are seen assaulting the 2 in different locations. 2 of the attackers wielded clubs which were used to hit the head of one of the victims, and I must apologize for the rather disturbing details of the story. And in a separate video, some persons believed to be the same people captured in the other video are captured attacking the other victim. Now, it took the intervention of some residents to save one of the victims from being hit with a stone. The victim is later captured as he bled from the mouth and nose. The community police assistants are alleged to have taken an amount of 1,000 cedis from the attackers with the intention of helping them secure bail for a friend in custody. So then again, I ask myself, another allegation of extortion or of bribery against the police service. So these are community police assistants, so they're part of the police service. And Brace, I don't know, but I am, and I share in Elizabeth Var's concerns, if the representative of the state is treated this way, and it is on the back of an allegation of some form of wrongdoing, where are we going?
Yeah, so they are treated that way because of those allegations, right? I'm not sure a very upright police officer will be treated the way that the guys have treated the people. So building on from the galamsey video we saw, I mean, for those of us who have grown up in areas where galamsey are, these things are not, they are not surprising.
Right.
Because we live to see them. You know, the thing is that the officers there do, I mean, during the Galam stop, you had these allegations of you know, officers extorting money from galamseyers, right? They come to a site and then they can extort a site for 30, 40, 50,000 Ghana cedis just so you can be allowed to mine. So if these guys had lived their lives as we expect of them as officers of the public, then of course nobody can lay a hand on you like that. I mean, can someone treat Dampare in this way?
But obviously, I mean, obviously they won't. Once it gets to that level, then it's problematic. But you see, when we allow these things to fester, and I am not in any way making excuses for the police, but we cannot encourage this. And you know, it's almost like the mob justice debate.
Also mob justice. Yeah, this is one of it.
Yes, it's almost like the mob justice debate. And some say, oh, but you know, you've never been robbed before. You don't know what it feels like to be robbed before. But I know of a gentleman who was saved by, it was such a wrong allegation. I know of 3 young boys who were killed around the Wejak Bawe area, and this was about 19 years ago. And they were, it was a young girl who said, thieves. And before they could say Jack, without people even verifying, they just attacked these boys and killed them painfully. Then an old man in the area comes and says, oh, these boys, I know them. They're not robbers. We sit with them, you know, and it happens. And so look.
Now, as for mob justice, it's not something we should encourage at all. This one, they even, one of the guys, they attacked him in a place that looked like his home, you know. So, I mean, it's something that we shouldn't encourage. We should discourage it, because there's this woman I know whose son, is not her biological son, but someone she regards as a son, was almost lynched for the wrongful reasons. He was only saved by someone who said, no, it can't be him. So as for mob justice, it's something we need to discourage.
Exactly.
Once we want to discourage it, we should also, like, these guys are police officers, we should try to tell them or educate them to say that it's about time you live up to the uniform you wear.
Exactly.
You represent the state. You are a law enforcement officer. Ensure you enforce the law the way it has to.
And have some integrity.
Exactly. That's police. What's their motto? Service with integrity. It has to be lived. You know, if you expose, because these guys, per the story, they are believed to be drug abusers, isn't it? And you meddle with drug abusers, and they are alleging that you took their money to force. I mean, why should you even stoop so low? So yeah, I mean, mob justice is so not fair. We have to discourage it. I've seen people who have been killed through some of these instances because they said they were thieves. And we've come to know that some of them were innocent, because it can happen to me. If someone does not know me, and maybe it's in the night, someone says, Julo, and I run. I mean, there was a story that someone ran because he also heard a shout. And he ran. They thought it was him. Apparently it wasn't. But just because he heard it, and he heard some footsteps coming towards him, he had to run for his life, but he was taken to be the thief. He wasn't. So as for mob justice, we have to educate ourselves that we need to stop it. We don't need to encourage it. But once we do that, we should. I mean, this is a different case, I think. And these are public, police officers.
Yes.
We should let them know that, look, your motto is service with integrity. Can you live up to it? At least try.
And Brace, for me, the other question is, what is given these young men the confidence to do this to law enforcement officials, regardless the reason, because it's becoming a trend and people are being emboldened over time. It's something that as a society we should ask ourselves, why are people getting the confidence to attack officers?
How do you call it? When you get to know me too much.
Familiarity.
Exactly. Look, there's this officer in my hometown, Chwasam. He's a CID. Fantastic young man. I'm not sure you can do what you did to these guys to the guy. Yeah? Even though he's your friend, but when it comes to ensuring that the right things are done, he would ensure they are done. So I think that the officers should look at how they become too familiar with certain class of people. Yeah? So that these things don't happen. But as for mob justice, we should discourage it, because we can end up killing innocent souls.
Oh, we have done that so many times, unfortunately. We have done that so many times. And Brace, it's sad.
But the Galamsey video, the Galamsey, I think the police need to investigate it so well, such that if it has certain linkages to other people, we can deal with it. Because, look, if you anyway.
Well, so there's some other stories. Ghana Ports experiencing decline in traffic. We brought you that. ECG cuts power to Amansia South DCE's home in revenue mobilization drive. And that story was on the AM News. And it's very interesting. So the regional director says that the DCE is actually his friend. But says, look, AJ, put friendship aside. Put friendship aside. And this is yielding so much results. The Ghana Water Company Limited has picked a queue, and they've also started visiting facilities and companies. But my question, why have we allowed these things for so long? Well, the good news is that you've seen the light. You're making a difference. Please, if you owe any utility provider, if you own a business that owns, rather than wait for you to be embarrassed, your name come in, then you rather walk up to them and agree on a certain payment plan. You get my point? Because some of these people, they know how much they owe. But because it's been a trend for so long, they are very laid back about paying. So, I mean, if Brace, you're my friend, Benjamin is my friend, and I owe the two of you, but I know that as for Benjamin, if I don't pay him,
it'll disturb you.
If I have any money, my top priority is to pay Benjamin. Oh, as for Brace Day, when I have time, I'll pay him. And I think that has been the attitude of many of these companies towards paying utility providers, service providers. So please, if you owe ECG, if you owe Ghana Water Company Limited, I beg you, before you are brought, your name is mentioned in the news, just go and do the honorable thing. And those of you who are connected, I understand, look, there are genuine concerns. When Mr. Mahama, the ECG boss, came on the Super Morning Show, there were calls and calls, and there are people who've waited for so long to get connected to the grid. And you can imagine in today's day and age, if you don't have power, if you run certain businesses, you need power. So ECG, while you're mobilizing revenue, please deal with those other issues, okay? When people need meters, let it be convenient, let it be easy for them to access it. When somebody has a meter fault, please fix it as soon as possible so the person is not tempted to do an illegal connection.
Bernice, we are now being told that people are buying illegal meters from other countries, and they are bypassing the ECG meter. So like they are using power, ECG is not able to read and to charge them. Yesterday, there was that operation in the Ashanti region where some people have been arrested. So, like you're saying, if you make the services so accessible to people and so easily accessible, I'm not sure people would cut corners. But like you're saying, people want meters, they have to struggle for months because they get it. It's a challenge.
And you know, when there's a demand, somebody will try to provide. So I mean, and I am not in any way, and we are not in any way justifying wrongdoing. But please, power is so essential. I know people who would pay through their teeth to get a generator and fuel it, not because it is the easiest thing for them to do. It is because they rely so much on power, they cannot afford not to have power.
So whilst the exercise is good, you're also looking at sustainability. Okay, so how do we ensure that those people who have owed all this while do not pile up again? That's also a system they have to look at. So that even though you are reclaiming those debt, you ensure that they don't pile up again. What are you going to do to ensure that that does not happen? That's something the ECG and the Ghana Water should also be thinking about. Whilst at it, like you said, they have to improve on their service delivery. Look, yesterday I saw a video on Facebook in Agonan Kwanta, and I felt it was so bad. This pole is almost falling off. And I heard a woman say, oh, we've told them. They said they will come. They haven't come several weeks. This one, I know a certain situation like that so many years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, in the same community, a pole was
it was rotten away.
Yes, it was just hanging, and we reported several weeks it was not being done. So you ask yourself, isn't ECG aware of these challenges? Because all of this is part of the services delivery.
Right.
That when you find a challenge confronting the society, you have to attend to it with that dispatch, that people will feel that, oh, these guys.
Sense of urgency.
Yeah, but when you allow, I mean, if I show you that video, you go like, why is the pole is all, is falling. He has leaned back, and that's a danger on its own. But it looks as though the ECG doesn't get. So if ECG is watching us, they have to ensure that these things are attended to. That you build confidence in the people with all of that.
There's a high tension pole close to my house, which every now and then would either start sparking, and would just give a loud, like an explosive sound, and then the sky turns blue, and they come and fix it, and the problem persists, and you just ask yourself, is it that we cannot solve the problem, or we don't know how to solve it, or we don't have the means to solve it? What exactly is the situation?
So this drive is good. I mean, especially when the DCE is home. I mean, in Ghana, we know that, once he's a DCE, you might want to say, this is a man of power. But they looked at him in the face and said, well, you're the DCE, but we don't care.
And
we'll take it off because you owe.
And the other thing for me is, this story is interesting because it was determined that the connection to the house was not done properly, officially, i.e. illegally.
Illegal. Yeah, so why should the DC allow search? Or he did it before?
It's actually the official. This is the official residence, though. So we need to. So it appears that it may have happened probably a long time ago. We need to get that side of the story clear. But
it shouldn't have happened in the first place. Because
of course,
you are like the president of the area, isn't it?
Of course.
And you have to show leadership. You cannot then do illegal connection to your official residence. No, that's the height of it all. And I mean, this is really, really shocking. The official residents of the DC had an illegal connection. Oh, no.
Unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. So now they're moving from institutions, companies, they're coming into our homes. So please, and again, so this is especially for those who have done illegal connections and are on postpaid meters. Because usually, for those of us on prepaid,
Charlie, it is you buy, you go.
Yeah.
If you don't buy,
you sleep in darkness. So please, I beg you, we don't want to have you in the news. Just do what you have to do. So there are some other stories here, and this one interests me so much.
I hope you're going to choose what I'm thinking.
Which one? Joy FM to spend time with residents of Weja Leproseum this Easter. So that's an interesting one. So the Easter Soup Kitchen is heading to the Weja Leproseum, and we're going there to serve these people who are so marginalized by society. We're going to serve them. We're going to have fun with them. We're going to be with them. Which one interests you? The Sweet Mother?
Sweet Mother Hitmaker sold more copies than any of the Beatles. So why haven't you heard of him? Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But like they say, if the animal, they say the lion or what, does not tell its own story, the story would always glorify the hunter, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So it means that if we don't tell our story, if he sold more copies than the Beatles.
And you see, this reminds me of the conversation about Ghanaian and Nigerian artists and what is putting Nigerian counterparts on the global scene more than the Ghanaian counterparts. Is it just a thing about skill? Is it just talent? Or is it a deliberate marketing strategy?
Selling.
That puts them on top. And you see, this song is timeless. This Sweet Mother song is timeless.
Sweet mother, I no go forget you. For that suffer where you suffer for me.
It's such a nice song, but that would be a very interesting read.
Yeah, really.
Sold more copies than any of the Beatles. Wow,
that's huge.
Huge.
Yeah. You see, so I say it's all about selling. See, this your very nice yogurt you bring us here. I mean, if you don't let us know of it, who will know? I mean, so the thing is that you need to market your product. Are we marketing our people well? We need to rethink about how we sell our art.
And we must be ready to invest. I think that it's either we take things too casually, Okay, so it's like, oh, AIDS on your share. Oh, I mean, like, if you sold copies, why do you even have to tell? And again, so it's like why people say, oh, why are Christians interested in quote unquote secular award schemes? But it's all marketing.
Yeah. Sure.
It's all marketing.
Sure.
Because if a Christian artist, for example, as we've seen quite recently, is Artist of the Year, then he has more eyeballs. Don't forget, his community or his target audience is very specific. And so there are many other people who will not hear his song. So I remember when Joe Metal was Artist of the Year and people were saying, who is he? We don't even know him. What song did he sing? It's because you may not fall within the target audience or the specific market he is selling to. And so once his work is recognized on that scale, somebody's like, okay, let me listen to this guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's all marketing. So we must be deliberate about some of these things.
Yeah.
And I must say that I think that especially the current crop of gospel musicians are doing that. The deliberate attempt to move beyond the church. You know, and like I'm saying, you know, sometimes we think we are being modest. Oh, it's not, let me stay in my corner.
No.
Right? There is a need to put yourself out there.
Prince Igbo Mbaga stayed in his corner, and his record was not known out there, even though he sold more copies, allegedly,
than any of the Beatles.
Look, if you hear someone selling more copies than the Beatles were huge.
They are still huge.
Yeah.
Now.
So if you hear someone sold more copies than any of them, then that's a huge story you need to look at. Look, today, even when you see reels, and you hear a certain song on the reel, you sort of, what song is this? Let me go listen. It's all part of the marketing.
Yeah, it's all part of the marketing. Using TikTok, using video. There was this praise medley, a Pentecost praise medley that trended so well on TikTok, and people were using it to dance. And I was like, okay, you're getting somewhere. You're getting somewhere. So. Well, Prince, I don't know if he's still alive though, is he? And how we can help. It's all marketing, guys. It's all marketing, and sometimes people are more interested in helping us do that than ourselves. You know, like how you see how people outside this country cherish authentic Ghanaian music, and how Ghanaians sometimes don't seem interested. He's no more. He's passed. Well,
20 years after his death, this is the obituary that never was.
20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's part of the article. So you probably have to have a read.
Yeah, do have a read.
The details of it.
All right. And okay, let's end with this one. Can we check Graphic Online? Let's just check Graphic Online. Let's do another website. Okay, so quickly run through. Don't pay hidden fees, charges on loans. Bank of Ghana advises, and that's a good one. Thank you, Bank of Ghana, for thinking about us. So there are people who go for loans, and it's not full disclosure. Yeah. So they sell the loan. To you, the terms of payment, you are so excited. And then once you subscribe to the loan, then you are paying other things. The Bank of Ghana says, look, if you don't disclose it to the people before they subscribe to the loan or the financial package, it is null and void. So please, if you sign up to a loan and you were not informed about anything, please don't pay. You have backing from the Bank of Ghana. Yeah. There's also that one, Zambia can't access.
But quickly, the reason why this is coming up is because some people are becoming vigilant.
Yeah.
How much you're deducted every month. Do the calculation and see that are they taking more than they have.
Yeah, what we agreed.
So that's when you can realize that they are taking some monies from you that they are not supposed to.
Okay.
Then you chase them for it.
Yeah. So Zambia can't access $188 million IMF funds until creditors agree to help. Remember that story about the Chinese being told by the chief of the IMF to facilitate some of these debt restructuring programs for countries like Zambia, Ghana, and Ethiopia. But look, family of slain immigration officer demands justice, and this story just saddens me. It's so sad. It's so sad that somebody is being attacked, or a group of people in a vehicle are being attacked. And I mean, instinctively, the place to drive for safety is a police station, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you were going through anything or somebody was attacking you and you spotted a police station, that's the first place you go to because you know you'll be protected there. It appears that this didn't help this gentleman because we are told that while the attack was happening and his vehicle was being shot at, he drove to the police station.
Oh.
Once he got there, the people went close range and finished him off in the police station.
Well, yesterday it came out that there were 20 gunshots on the vehicle. You know, when 3 of them were just traveling to go get food.
So sorry to his family, and this must be a hard one. Well, we need to wrap up, but just before we do sports, this one will interest you. Ghana Black Stars dropped to 60th position in March FIFA World Rankings.
Well, look, I think we should not focus too much on it.
On the rankings, yeah.
Let's just concentrate on our team.
Yeah.
Let's build them. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and support them in every way we can, you know, so that they can. Let's not focus too much on the ranking. But Bernice, this morning, a friend of mine, we call him First Samuel. He's the CEO of First Samuel Enterprise in Takrady. He loves the show, and so I would want to say good morning to him. Very fantastic young man. So, Uncle Sam, and all the best.
Thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's it. So I think that we shouldn't focus too much on the ranking. Yes, I mean, at a point in time we were so good. Yeah. So let's build a team. And
I know that it may be disappointing because we've seen quite an improvement in the performance of the Stars, but like you said, I mean, these are just rankings. Let's see how we move from here. And Chris Hughton took over the team.
Let's build
some few
maybe we can get to where Morocco
is.
Yeah, someday. So let's focus.
Right, so before we bring you the sports, let me say thank you to Endpoint Homeopathic. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic for helping us bring you the news and the headlines. We are offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening. You can find Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard in Kumasi, Chronom Aboy here behind Angel Educational Complex in Takrady Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman, Hensia, I hope I got it right, and Isiama in Nzima. You can call the clinic on 0244-867-7068 or 0274-234321. It's now time to bring you sports.
Good morning. Welcome to the Good Friday edition of AM Sports with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. We start with Chris Hughton's appointment, and the Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Hussein. He says that the decision of the Ghana Football Association to engage the former Newcastle, Tottenham Hotspur and Norwich manager is because of his experience, and he believes the man is committed to serving the senior national team.
Committed to his job, he's dedicated. He has the experience, and we can all see that he has just started on a very good note. So let's all rally behind him and give him the maximum support to coach our national team, and so that we can achieve the objective that we have set for ourselves as a country. That is what I can say on the national team coach, Chris Hughton.
What are those objectives?
The objectives are set by the FA for him to ensure that we qualify for AFCON, also to ensure that he identified local talent from our league, to also ensure that we qualify for World Cup, and also to make sure that our ranking in the FIFA ranking improve. These are the objectives in the contract that he has signed. And that's why I'm saying that it is too early to judge him. Just for 2 games, you are judging a coach will not be fair. Let's rally or give him all the support that he's needed so that he can deliver.
2 games under Chris Hughton, Ghana has gotten 4 points, and those games came against Angola in the African Cup of Nations qualifier, and the first leg took place at the Bawayara Sports Stadium, while the second leg was in Luanda, where Ghana got a draw in that contest. But let's talk about other national teams, even including the Black Stars. General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association, Prosper Harrison Addo, says that the football governing body is committed to supporting all national teams to qualify and participate in international competitions. Speaking to my colleague Michelle Queno, Prosper said that it is important the GFA throws their weight behind all the national teams to ensure they perform well when they participate in those competitions.
I've been to Ivory Coast and they are also keenly supporting for Ghana to qualify, because they know when Ghana qualifies, patronage and spectating will be good and they will have a successful AFCON. And so we are on that quest, and come June, when we play the next match, we expect that will scale the head and also qualify. For the under-23 plans are advanced to ensure that the team will have the best of preparations, because we really, in conjunction with the Olympic Committee, we want to qualify to Paris. And then with the other national teams as well, you will see the developmental plans coming to bear. The Queens, the senior women's national teams, have been utilizing the FIFA windows. So this current window, we engaged Algeria and they were ready to come. Unfortunately, at the last hour, they wrote to us that circumstances beyond their control will not allow them to come. Immediately, we triggered another negotiations with a number of countries. We are able to get Senegal. So Senegal are coming to town. We play 2 matches with them, and then we'll progress and see to it that the team will be in shape when the competitive matches come. Again, a lot of finances go into this. The way it works is that when you invite a team to come to your country, there are a few costs you pick up. And then currently we have a number of foreign players for the women's side, and so it also costs money to bring them into the country. But as we did in the friendlies, the friendly that we play against Benin, we invited some foreign players. Currently, there are a number of them in town now, in camp. So we need a fair balance. We would want to play every time there is the window, but you have to look at your resources too. So you put in buffers to make sure that you are comfortable on the financial side, and then you are comfortable on the technical side in terms of the development. Don't forget the U20 team too are in camp preparing to have a very good team. The same for U17, who are will find through our partnerships, find international matches for them in Serbia. So they will be involved in the 4-nation tournament in Serbia. And then the women's side too, the same under 17, and for both men and women, and under 15, so that we make sure that every time we are developing talent, identifying talent and developing them for the national team.
And talking of international competitions, Morocco, they have joined Portugal with their bid to host the 2030 FIFA World Cup. We have the statement that is coming up soon as CAF throws their weight behind the only team that made it to the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. The statement says the Confederation of African Football Executive Committee unanimously agreed on behalf of African football to support Morocco's FIFA World Cup 2030 bid. Morocco recently announced at the 73rd FIFA Congress in Kigali that it is bidding to host the FIFA World Cup 2030 in partnership with Spain and Portugal. The president of CAF, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, said the unanimous decision that was taken by the CAF Executive Committee to support Morocco's bid to host the FIFA World Cup 2030 means that the bid of Morocco is now the bid of the African continent. We are now focusing on ensuring that Africa once more hosts the FIFA World Cup and are committed to working together with all football national associations and confederations to make this happen. Morocco missed out on hosting the 26th World Cup to the US, Canada, and Mexico, and they are hoping that joining their bid with Spain and Portugal will grant them an opportunity to finally host the tournament since first submitting their bid to host the 1998 FIFA World Cup. Let's talk about the Ramadan Cup, and this year's edition. About 30 communities will be participating in the tournament that will be happening at Fadama. My colleague Michelle Kojo was at the launch of the competition and comes through with this report.
The launch happened at the Kempinski Hotel with last year's winners, Team Kaswa, in attendance. Honorable Farouk Aliu Mahama chaired the event, which was also attended by the Minister for Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, and he highlighted that there is a commitment from government to ensure community sports like the Ramadan Cup are promoted.
It urged the youth from all the participating communities to continue to uphold the values of the competition, that is the discipline, unity, togetherness, and also seize the opportunities therein. And also, it is also possible that Ghana's sports will grow bigger and bigger, inshallah.
Tamimu Issa, the man who birthed the idea of a Ramadan Cup 8 years ago, indicated the tournament is not exclusive to only Muslims.
This looks like a dream come true in the sense that when we had a dream of this competition in 2015, 8 years ago, we never anticipated. We had big dreams for it, but we didn't anticipate that the height it has attained will be achieved so rapidly. And looking back in 8 years, where this competition has reached, the strides it has made within our Zongo communities, in the media circles, and even on the international level, it's something that all of us are proud of. And one interesting thing about the Ramadan Cup is that it is not for Muslims. Zongo community is not made up of only Muslims. So even the best players of the tournament in the past 3 editions, if you check the records, you realize that the winners were not Muslims. This is the spirit of the competition, bringing people together regardless of religious affiliations. That's what the National Chief Imam stands for.
Black Metal's head coach Ibrahim Tanko volunteered to provide the trophy for an event he described as a talent hub.
I want to assure the organizers that I will personally provide the trophy for this year's tournament.
Wow!
In this tournament, I've provided a lot of talent, especially the last year one. I was there, I watched most of the matches, and I invited 2 players to Accra Lions. One is still with us, and I'm sure a lot of teams also have some of the players. So I hope this year's one will be better. We will have more talented players so that, and like Mr. Temimu said, Zongo is not only for Muslims. We have Christians, so we are all together. We thank God that He gave us a country that Muslims and Christians are all together in everything.
This year's Ramadan Cup will feature 30 teams, 2 more than last year's 28, and is likely to begin a week after Salah. And the GFA General Secretary, Prosper Harrison Addo, explained the tournament is seen as an adopted part of the GFA's calendar.
From the Ghana Football Association provide the match officials and then also equipment to make sure that the day is successful. We've partnered this competition and will continue to do so. Indeed, our father has been a pillar to the Football Association, and we can never find enough words to thank him. So if it is that there is a competition in honor of him, then we need no invitation. Indeed, we must run
to go and be part.
The tournament is scheduled for April 29 and April 30 respectively. The first round will have the 30 teams knocking out each other, and 15 teams will qualify to the next phase of the competition. And the best losing team will join the 15 teams to make it 16. So they will progress to a round of 16 of the tournament. That is where they will put into groups to compete for the ultimate crown. And this weekend, there will be many matches happening domestically. It's the FA Cup. Let's take a look at the fixtures of the matches that will be played this weekend in the competition. On today, to be precise, at the Theatre of Dreams, we'll have Real Tamale United. It's Dreams versus Legon Cities. And on Saturday, we'll have Real Tamale United versus Inswatriman. It's a revisit of what we witnessed in Zone 1 when the two teams were playing in the Division 1 League. This match is happening at the Aliu Mahama Stadium. And on Sunday, it's Kayafse versus Ebisua Dwarfs. That game is happening on Sunday, April 9 at the St. Martin's Park at Dabuase. These are the fixtures for the FA Cup matches that will be happening this weekend. One of Ghana's topmost domestic competitions, which returned in 2011 and was won by Nanya FC. And then in 2014, it was won by Kumasi Asante Kotoko. In 2015, it was won by Mediama FC. In 2016, it was won by Bechem United. 2017, Kumasi Asante Kotoko. They won the competition there. But let's wrap up now and hear from Frank Lampard, who has made a return to Chelsea. He's a club's all-time leading goal scorer in his history with about 203 goals. He's been brought on to replace Graham Potter, who was sacked on Sunday. We hear from him as he speaks about taking over the dugout at Stamford Bridge. This will wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabida Abdullahi.
The AM show, we continue with our special Good Friday edition of the show, and it's now time to talk about road safety and delve into concerns raised by the National Road Safety Authority about abandoned vehicles and other matters involving your safety on the road. And this morning I've been joined by Cecil Gabra. He is Executive Director and founder of Top Tech Transport and Logistics Limited. He's also a consultant. Good morning to you, Cecil. Happy Easter. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well.
Very, and good morning, and good morning to everybody who is listening and watching us.
Right. So if you're someone who watches the AM show, you should know Mr. Gabra. He usually does a Drive Safe segment with Benjamin Akapo, bringing you very important nuggets on how you can stay safe on the road. So, Mr. Gabra, quite recently we heard from the National Road Safety Authority giving an alert about abandoned vehicles. And I remember at the time when the road toll levy came up, you shared your thoughts and all that. This is where we are. Unfortunately, people are still losing their lives as a result of abandoned vehicles. Where do you think, or how do you think we should be looking at solving that problem, seeing that we've never really revisited that road toll levy?
Thank you once again, Bernice. And this morning, if you could hear me, there's a lot of ambience. Some of us are working with the National Road Safety Authority. We are everywhere eastern-western corridor just to help in reducing the road crashes on the way. If you give me that opportunity, I'll talk about that. But then on the question that you just asked, yes, it's a big problem in this country where we have abandoned vehicles, everywhere. It is really true. It's an expensive venture to be towing all those vehicles. But again, there is a number to call, which I will give to you later on the show, that if you see any abandoned vehicle, you call the National Road Safety Authority's number, and they will arrange as soon as practicable to come to tow that vehicle from where it is. However, drivers are also being warned to have their warning triangles placed at the right place. The law says that you should have two warning triangles, and then you place one depending on the road, could be about 50 to 100 meters before and after where the vehicle is parked. So that is, if you look at all those big trucks and so on, many of them even do not have the warning triangles in their vehicles, and that is a big problem, because if the warning triangles are there and then you are driving even at night, and if it is placed at the right place, I think that will go a long way to help the situation in reducing the carnage on the roads. However, we have a lot of people also who are still recalcitrant, who don't care about anything, who keep on speeding. As I'm standing here, I see somebody even driving on the speed of about 120, 130 kilometers per hour. And this is a situation I think it's all about speed. I don't think the abandoned vehicles is a major concern. It is anyway, but however, issues like speed is a major issue that is causing a lot of accidents, because if you are driving at a speed of about 80 kilometers on the highway, which is the right speed, that's the maximum speed, and then you come across an abandoned vehicle, definitely you have the opportunity in slowing down. But if you're driving more than 80, close to about 100 to 120 kilometers per hour, this is what really happens. You will crash in it. Bernice?
Right, and Mr. Gabra, definitely I will ask you to give us more details about what you're doing currently working with the National Road Safety Authority. But when you just spoke about speeding, it reminds me of that unfortunate incident we recorded where many lives were lost involving two buses of the same company. And surveying reactions on social media, people are concerned that that is becoming the known feature of that company. They are known for speeding, and usually people who want to get to their destinations very early will prefer to board their buses. You've been an advocate for the use of technology in dealing with some of these things, like embedding some form of speed limits into vehicles. Has that come up recently again in your deliberations with policymakers? And tell us more about why you think that is a sure way to deal with the menace on our roads.
Well, thank you so much, Bernice. The issue with those buses is that I have called several times that we need to do an audit to even find out whether those companies are really the right companies to operate such buses. And then talking about the audit, it starts from the human being itself to the vehicle, whether they are roadworthy, and what about ties and so on, right? If you pick up the human being, a lot of people have been driving with driving license B, and then they are driving buses. I mean, this should be part of the audit. Are they really experienced? Right, because of course, if you look at the LI 2180, it states that if you want to drive a bus, obviously your license must be category F, and you should be driving over 8 years and above, and you should be trained for that purpose. Right? Do we know about it? Do passengers know about all this? And that is also a contributory factor, that if passengers are seated in the vehicle about 80 to 90% do not know how to drive, and all what they know is that the driver should take them to their destination so fast. This must stop. Secondly, buses that is above a certain tons will also have to install in their vehicle speed limiters to reduce their speed, because buses must not travel more than 75 kilometers per hour. Okay, on the highway. Do we care about it? Many people don't really look at it as very important. All what they know is, I'm going to sit in this bus, it's so fast, that is what determines some of the buses. But these are killers, and we will need to look at it critical. I am happy about the National Road Safety Association's, authorities' new initiative. Now, it is not only sitting in the office that could solve problems. As I'm talking to you, we have divided ourselves a lot on all those roads. So this is also a warning to all those buses that are overspeeding and do not really think about what they have to do, that it is now time for them to think very well so that they will reduce the speed. I have advocated that instead of television sets in those buses, we could even replace them and extend the speedometer or add the speedometer to the TV. That means that we'll have two screens, one showing their favorite Nigerian movies, Ghanaian movies, and the other one showing the speed at which the vehicle is traveling at. So that you, the passenger, if you are seated and you notice that the vehicle is moving more than 75 kilometers per hour, hey, voice it out. Just tell everybody, shout that, hey, driver, you are speeding beyond the speed limit. This is what we want to see. Okay, so passengers must be educated. We are all part of it. You don't sit down like, excuse me, someone who is deaf and dumb till you get to the morgue and you are quiet and they put you in that cold area. This is what we are talking about, that we all need to be involved to reduce the road accidents to a minimum figure this year. And just like I said, Engineer David Adontin and his team and all of us are on the road. Those driving towards Kwewu, those traveling in general, where we have the MTTD police who are also on standby with us, and definitely a lot of people who may be arrested. Drinking and driving at this particular time where you think it is a good thing, there are lots of breathalyzers, and definitely people will be arrested. Why are we doing all this? It's just to reduce the road accidents on the road to a minimum figure. And then we realize that when it's Easter or Christmas time, it is not any issue to talk about the devil on the road. We have made ourselves the devil on the road by drinking and then flouting our own road regulations, by overspeeding and misbehaving on the road. That is being recalcitrant. This time it is not going to be easy, and we need the human beings alive, and we do not want to see people dying on road crashes.
Right, and Mr. Gabra, when you spoke about passengers being more proactive and speaking out in some of these instances, reminds me of one of my trips to Kumasi via bus, and I don't even know who approved that kind of a bus, because the screens that were fitted for passengers to watch the movies had a duplicate on the dashboard, and so the driver was watching while he was driving, and in some instances he was veering off his lane as he was watching and driving. So when we got to the next stop, I spoke to his assistant and I said, look, what this man is doing is very dangerous and he could kill all of us in a second. Guess what the guy told me? Oh, he's very experienced, he'll get us there.
So in such circumstances, the passengers have all the right to arrest the driver, stop the driver from moving because of their lives. Okay? Because you, the driver, by law, you cannot drive and then watch television. That is why we always say that every driver must wear the driver's coat, which is concentration, observation, alertness, and tolerance on the road. And if you driver, you are watching the television, then it means you will definitely lose concentration, and then you have a lot of people seated in the bus. you will definitely veer on the road and crash. Bernice, we thank God for your life, and then we need to educate the masses. I mean, it's an issue in the country that, just like I said, 80 to 90% of us who sit in trotros or commercial vehicles in general do not have the knowledge in driving, and therefore we do not care till we find ourselves dead and gone. We have a lot of people who are having issues now with accident cases, some with whiplash injuries from the neck, some with legs and arms being amputated, and it is all because of, I would say, stupidity of they themselves not being able to talk when they see things like this. So voice it out, and I think we should take multimedia, must take this opportunity in educating the masses. I'm talking about passengers who sit in vehicles. Let's go to trotro stations, bus terminals, educate people. After all, 99% of goods and services are transported by road, and the rest by sea or whatever. But 99%, which is the general transport system that we all use in this country.
Mr. Gabra, in other jurisdictions, when a certain transport company is seen to have a number of incidents and accidents that claim lives and property, leadership owners are called before legislators. I mean, even beyond the issue of lives, take, for example, Facebook, TikTok, all these CEOs were questioned by lawmakers in the US because of certain things that the lawmakers thought were not going right with their operations. How much more people's lives that are lost in such circumstances? What stance should policymakers be taking, especially as we see over time that certain companies are being noted for speeding and incessant accidents?
Well, I think gradually we are getting there, and then I am very sure that with the new LI being drafted, we have all those in place to arrest even the vehicle owner as part of the accident procedure, because they are also part. All what they also know is that, hey, you driver, you are bringing maybe 400 cedis a day as profit for me, and so on. They are not part of the repair maintenance of such vehicles. The driver will say, my boss said, make I manage. Right now, all those, policy makers and so on, I am sure will be dealt with in a very short period of time. Mine is that it should be started today, because lots of lives are being lost on the road than any other issue, Bernice.
And so, I mean, yes, I understand that the LI is being looked at, but don't we have any avenue to say, look, hold the owners of these companies before us? Because clearly, when you're being known for something, it's easy to identify you. It's easy to question you about some of these things, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's just like I am saying, the National Road Safety Authority takes a lot of action. Maybe what we all need to do is to ask a lot of questions. In fact, I thought I could get Engineer David Adonting online and find out where they are now, because I'm going to join them. We have to stop on the road. All right,
sure. And so briefly tell us what you're doing today and why it's so important for you to be part of this exercise at the National Road Safety Authority.
It's a continuous program, especially from this Easter, okay? Because when it is Easter, we record a lot more of accidents, Easter and Christmas. So this program is ongoing from today, continuously till Monday. That is the task force, and the whole of the National Road Safety Authority, together with its stakeholders, as well as the consultants, the MTTD, and so on, are all on the road now. What we're doing is that the breathalyzers are working, speed guns are working. And when you are being arrested, of course, you will go to court. Okay, these are the two areas that we're looking at, and we've added education to it, to stop and educate the passengers, stop and educate the drivers, We are going to check and find out whether drivers have the appropriate driving license. We are also checking about dressing. You know, you're not supposed to drive with bathroom slippers, what we all call chalewote. It's an offense. Yes, so we are checking a lot of things on the road just to make sure that people will arrive in good time and not have any accidents. We are also checking on tires. The minimum tread limit of your tire must be 1.6 millimeters, and that is also one tip that we'll give to all passengers, that before you board any vehicle, just go around the bars or the vehicle and find out if you see any tire which it's worn out, or what we call Sakura tires that has no tread, please don't sit in that vehicle. Just wait for the next vehicle, because in such a situation, there may be a tire blast, and of course, if there's a tire blast, the driver loses concentration and will veer off the road.
Right. Thank you for your time. We'll touch base with you, hopefully, in subsequent bulletins, so you can give us a wrap of what happens with your exercise with the Road Safety Authority. Head Cecil Gabra, he's Executive Director and Founder, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. We'll bring you more on that in subsequent bulletins. But we can also get interactive with you. What do you think of this initiative by the National Road Safety Authority? And what are your concerns about safety on our roads? You can call us 0302 211-691, 0302-211-691. Let's get interactive. It's Easter, and a lot of you will be traveling. A lot of you will be stepping out. If you're already not out, I'm sure some of you are watching me from hotel rooms in different destinations across the country. When you were driving to your location, what did you see? What caught your attention? Is it just the roads, as drivers would always want us to believe, or there are also concerns about the attitude and behaviors of such drivers? We'll be getting interactive with you as we commemorate Easter today. The numbers to call on your screen, 0302 211 691. While we wait for you to call us and share your thoughts with us, we've got Reverend Cyril Krapp. He's been doing some work with regards to supporting accident victims. And here's why we like to talk to Reverend Cyril Krapp, because for some of you, you may think that, oh, this doesn't concern me, I mustn't talk about it, I'm okay on the road. But someone's negligence can affect you, and that's why we must all rise up to have these conversations. I've seen videos where people were, abiding by the rules, driving carefully, and then some drunk driver somewhere hits them and maims them for the rest of their lives. Reverend, good morning to you and happy Easter.
Dear lady, happy Easter to you as well.
Right, Reverend. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us on this day. I'm sure you usually will be quite busy on such a day. But it's Easter, and many people are embarking on journeys across the country. As we heard from Mr. Cecil Gabra, it's usually a time where a lot of vehicles are involved in accidents, claiming lives and maiming others. Tell us what you've been doing so far and how you've been supporting accident victims. And if there's any recent story you'd like to share with us, we'll be glad to hear it.
All right. Thank you very much, and happy Easter, and good morning to your cherished viewers. Well, like you rightly said, during these times we encounter a lot of crashes on the road. And personally, I am very impressed at the arrangement that the National Road Safety Authority have in place to curb the crashes. Over the past years, we've seen that during these times, we have a lot of people in town. Vehicular movement, becomes very tight, and so we encounter a lot of crashes, and people do get hurt. 15,000 people getting hurt or getting injured every year. I think it's about time that we also join hands together to curb it, as we have been experiencing these reductions for the past 2 years. On our side, what we are saying is that it is not only the crashes, the vehicles that they crash. It is not only the still vehicles or broken down vehicles that we need to only clear from the roads. But then again, we must put in place road safety finishes that the people will see, like road signs, removing signboard, and patching potholes at various vantage places, or let me say, accident-prone points or places, so that people will be very mindful of it. Quite recently, I visited King Tampo for our wreath laying ceremony on the 22nd, and what they told us at King Tampo when we're doing the wreath laying on the 22nd of March is that they request that, since King Tampo is the middle of the country where cars travel from the south and the north, and they get there and they get tired, they want more of advocacy on fatigue driving to be done. And then secondly, also, they want the big ramps to be reduced to the small size, the one that you bounce on it many times, so that the drivers that get there and they feel fatigued and they start maybe dozing off, they would be awake or they will be alert as they run on that ramps. Then at large, they said that they are ready to donate a plot of land for the government to put in place a rest stop, mandatory rest stop. And that's why I applaud the National Road Safety Authority this time around, that they are removing it. And at vantage points, they have towing vehicles that immediately a car breaks down, they remove it from the road. But by extension, the people of King Tampo, where a lot of crashes do happen, they are requesting that there should be a mandatory rest stop. They are ready to donate the land, and then they want the government to do a mandatory rest stop where you come from the north and the south. Then they also want a stationed towing vehicles to be there, so that just in case we have recalcitrant drivers who would not listen, and then their tractors break down or their cars break down, immediately they will be told to this rest stop. Above all, they also requested that the land should be purified, because they are sick and tired of crashes, or King Tampo being in the news always for crashes.
Right.
They believe that there is a spiritual side and there's also a physical side. So they gave me the two of them. On our side, this particular Easter, we are going to visit crash victims, especially at Insawam and also at Amasama, with some goodies that we have, and also interact with them just to let them know that they've not been left behind. And the National Road Safety supports what we do. And we believe that by so doing, in partnership with the National Road Safety Authority and victim support, we'll be able to reduce it at least to 50%, as we always desired.
Rev, please hold on for me. I'll come back to you shortly. I've been joined by Engineer Dunting. He is the Acting Director of the National Road Safety Authority. Good morning to you, Engineer. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy Easter.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and many happy returns to all of us.
All right. So we just spoke to Mr. Cecil Gabra, who is a part of your team that is ensuring that people are compliant with road safety regulations this morning. But share more details with us. Where are you? What do you hope to achieve with this? And what's the long-term effect you're looking for?
Right. Thank you very much. And let me also wish all our listeners and viewers happy Easter, and we all know what happened during Easter. The entire stretch from Accra to Nkoko is so populated. Everybody is moving to Nkoko from wherever, Kumasi, Takoradi, and so on. And so this year happens to be a situation where we envisage that the population that will move or troop to that particular environment will be quite heavy, and so we have deployed accordingly. We have done the radio work, the TV work, and some leg work at the terminals and so on, sensitizing, engaging transport operators, individuals, drivers, and groups. Now we are doing the field work. We started yesterday. We are together with the police. As I speak to you, I have Chief Superintendent Alexander Kwekwo being with me. His team and my team are all here. We're starting from Accra, the toll booth, we have a team there. We'll do some enforcement and sensitization together. Then we move on to Suhum. Then we move to Apeja. Then we move to Bunso, where the the Eastern team from Kopodia will join us. And then we move on to Enyinam. And then we move on and so on till we hit Nkoko, where another team from Ashanti region will also join us, doing the same kind of stopovers at various locations. And then we can all move up there to the top and see how we can organize, look at traffic management, and also a few other recalcitrants who will be misbehaving. We try to bring all of them to book. Indeed, I think we are deployed to the teeth. The police are having their gadgets, their accometers, speed radar guns. We are also having our men who will be doing the education. And so I must say that this year, if we get the support from the Almighty God, which is the season, then I'm sure that we may not get any scratch. We may not get any crash. At the same time, not get any death or injury. In fact, from the past 3 days, we have been monitoring the problem of disabled vehicles, in which case we issued a notice, and which was published also by the Daily Graphic front page, alerting all drivers and motorists, including vehicle owners, that it is their responsibility by law to remove their vehicles from the road immediately it breaks down. I think this message has also gone down very well. Well, we found a couple of them on the road within the corridor, broken down, especially those going to Burkina Faso and so on, loaded to the heavens. But we managed to pick a few of them off the road. There were others that we had to protect until the towing vehicles had to come to remove them. And I think that so far the road is very clear. It's open to everybody. People are driving somehow comfortably. We are seeing some high level of discipline. Perhaps I may feel that because we are visible on the road. But if that is how it will go today and tomorrow and Sunday, I believe that the situation will be calm as we expect. So far, so good.
Right, Engineer, so this has been lauded. Reverend Crabb just spoke about this initiative and others that you've been spearheading. But for many people who may feel that this may just be a flash in the pan, what would you have to tell them with regards to the work you're doing to ensure that this is not just an activity, but one that is part of a collection of activities that will ensure that gradually we make strides in ensuring safety on our roads?
I think that in the past couple of years, not too long ago, the past 3, 4, 5 years coming down, you will attest to the fact that the National Road Safety Authority has been in the news at all times. We're on the ground under the Stay Alive campaign. We have all these advocates, communicators, also supporting us from various angles, the media in particular, and yourself, where you started this Drive Safe campaign, the Arrive Alive campaign, and we topped it up with Stay Alive campaign. I think we have done a lot of awareness and sensitization, advocacy to the extent that we are seeing the positive results. Indeed, if you look at the statistics, January, February alone, put together, compared to the last year results, 31% reduction in fatalities or deaths on our roads clearly indicates that something positively in terms of interventions are being rolled out. And that is very good for us. Even though we all agree that one death is still too much for all of us, the reduction of 31% fatalities is a demonstration that we are scaling up ourselves, our activities. There's some motivation out there, and so we will continue. And it is in the interest of all of us as a nation to see the trend sustained. And that is our motive, how we can continue to sustain it. And this is why in the coming days or coming weeks and months ahead of us, to the end of the year, we will sustain our Stay Alive campaign to continue to create the awareness. But more to it, we are going to deploy cameras and systems that are technologically inclined based to be able to manage speeding, what we call overspeeding. I think overspeeding happens to be one of the critical challenges that we confront us as far as road safety management is concerned. We want to take absolute control of the road space in a manner that people would not see. In fact, most of the reductions we have done has come as a result of motorists now adhering to the speed limit, because that is where our focus is now. And so we are not surprised that very soon the police are deploying these their speed cameras to detect drivers or motorists who will be speeding beyond the speed limit. We want to hold speeding. Speeding contributes to more than 60% of our fatalities. So in these cameras that the police are bringing from June, thereabouts, if they happen to be installed, others that are coming to be in vehicles, so the vehicles will be running on the road with the cameras detecting those who are speeding beyond the speed limit, and then you'll be brought to book. I think that we continue to bring in this technological system to support what we are doing, the awareness creation. We can do some more reductions for the good of public safety in Ghana. So we assure everybody, Ghanaians, we're on top of the situation. All is not lost. People should have confidence in the National Road Safety Authority. And the good news is that now our airline has been passed by Parliament, giving us a bit more motivation. And so we will rally around everybody, the media, the transport operators, the general public, our advocates. I think we commend Reverend Crab and then to Gaba for all of them on their support. All of us are going to join together so that the knowledge, the skills that we all possess, and the commitment will be scaled up in the interest of the general public as we use the road. And I must commend you and your team also for the good work you are doing. Please continue to support us. And we're about to move to the site.
Right.
So
Engineer, finally, I know you're about to move, but just please permit me to ask my final question. On the bit of speed in which you've just raised concerns about, there are also a lot of people who have taken to social media to express concerns about a particular transport operator which seems to have that that character of speeding so much. And quite recently, we saw two of that company's buses involved in an accident. Are you considering inviting the owners for a conversation? Because that's what happens in other jurisdictions when you're able to pin down one company for causing so much loss to lives.
You see, the last, I think a couple of weeks ago, the National Road Safety Authority issued a notice, reminding, warning, and alerting the Princess, in particular, that category of vehicles we call minibuses, including 2M Express, the OH, the DPRTUs, who have recently now deployed a number of buses, the minibuses, with all sort of behaviors and characters. We are aware of their behavior. The speeding is high, yes indeed, and it got to a time they were on top in terms of the list, the table, the list of operations or operators who were causing havoc on the road. Now, we told them that we are monitoring them. We're giving them a couple of months. If they continue to misbehave in terms of their speeding, their wrongful overtaking, and then we keep getting the reports as people were complaining to us all the time, we will have no choice than to halt their operation or restrict them to a radius of not more than 40 kilometers to operate, just as we did a couple of years ago for Toyota Hayes. I think that in monitoring, after alerting them and issuing this notice, our monitoring system is indicating some reduction in their behavior. Until just recently, that the 2M Express in particular was involved in a crash. We have assessed that particular crash, and we saw that, indeed, on a typical day, any driver could have entered into that risk and gotten himself involved in a crash. This is a typical case of an accident because we have studied, we have assessed the situation. You wouldn't want to blame a particular driver. It's a circumstance that they couldn't have avoided it in any way. We're still looking at it, and we think that that should not just automatically let us take the decision to halt anybody's operation. We are still monitoring, we are assessing the situation, and when the time comes, when the need arises
that we could catch the drift by restricting their movement, or for that matter, even halting their operations, we can do that. In any case, we have had a lot of engagement with the owners of 2M Express in particular. And one thing that fascinated us was that they have installed cameras, tracking systems in their vehicles. Right there, we could see from the loading terminal all the vehicles that are running on the road, from their various origins to their destination. And this happens to be one of the systems that we requested that it should be put in place, which they have done. And we were somehow enthused by the fact that they have responded, complied with one of the critical things we asked for, tracking system. And they have done that. So I think that perhaps once in a while, you find these unfortunate situations happening to any of them. But we are on top. As I said, we are monitoring situations. As and when it requires that we hold somebody to prison or issue the sanctions mechanisms that have been given to us as far as our laws are concerned, we will do that. That particular case was very unfortunate. I don't think we can use that one alone, but we are engaging. We have spoken to the owner of that company. We've engaged them. We have gone there. We have inspected. We have assessed the situation, how it all happened. And if you look at the circumstances that lead to some of these actions, you wouldn't want to blame one person or the other. After all, there was a container that had fallen down on the road. If we had gone in earlier to remove that container in the first place, I don't think it would have been a surprise for any driver who got there, even at the speed of 90 kilometers per hour. That is the precise speed to have avoided it. So I think that we have been very circumspect in dealing with this particular issue. But let us see what happens. We will come up with some of these discussions as and when we need it.
Right, thank you so much for your time here. And on another occasion, we'll talk about the malfunctioning streets and traffic lights, because that's also problematic, especially here in Accra. I witnessed an accident this morning also involving tricycles on the N1. But I understand you have to run to go and perform this also very important task. So we'll leave that for another day. Engineer David Osafo-Adonting is Acting Director of the National Road Safety Authority. And this morning, they are on your roads. They are looking out for those of you who are not too keen on obeying traffic regulations, road safety regulations as well. So do be on the lookout for them this Easter period. And much later, we'll be activating the phone lines. Also on the show today, we've got a very interesting conversation for you. I'll be discussing or having a conversation with that young man who picked up 16 awards during the just ended graduation for medical students at the University of Cape Coast. Also, I've got CT Praise here. They'll be talking to us about their program, HCI, and their upcoming album, which will be released shortly. So do stay. It will be an exciting edition. A very good morning to you. This is the AM show. I'm Bernice Lansah. Thanks for staying with us. It's now time for me to have that exciting conversation. I'm so excited about it, and you'll understand why shortly. He's a young man who trended for a couple of days for picking up 16 out of 22 awards during the 55th congregation of his school, University of Cape Coast. And his name is Dr. Nathaniel Ni Antie Kojo. And let me tell you what, this young man did exceptionally well. He picked awards for Best Student, Best Graduating Male Student, Best Graduating Clinical Student, Best Graduating Preclinical Student, Best Student MB-CHB Part 2, Best Overall Performance, and the Best Overall Male Medical Student. He was also the best student in Anatomy, Physiology, Biochemistry, Microbiology, Community Medicine, Chemical Pathology, ENT, Pharmacology, Molecular Medicine, and Family Medicine. Wow. And I see that smile because that's the same smile you wore when the awards were being... Were you expecting to... Obviously, you know you're a good student. Every good student knows you're a good student. But were you expecting to receive that number of awards?
Honestly, I must say I wasn't expecting to receive that number of awards. Yes, I had an idea that I'll be receiving a number of awards, but still I was expecting to receive 16 out of 22. No, honestly.
Right, so there was a woman in that video who just couldn't help it. I just want to know who she is. She came from the back of the auditorium and came all the way to the front. Is that your mom?
Yes, please.
Oh, she was super proud of you. How did it make you feel, your parents? And his dad is here. I'll be engaging him shortly. But how did you feel? Your parents were there, your family was there, and here's the whole room applauding you, and it was award after award after award.
Yes, so of course the day before, like if you expect to receive a number of awards, you can go through some sort of preparation, but you can never be prepared enough for a situation like that, especially when you see the crowd clapping for you, the standing ovation at the end, and also seeing your parents, all happy and excited. At a point, it gets a little bit overwhelming, but I should say it was a really good
I could tell, because I'm like, oh, this guy feels like someone should hold him because you looked overwhelmed. But let me also introduce Emmanuel Akushe Kojo. He is father of Dr. Nathaniel Kojo. And Dad, we saw Mom. We saw her in that video, rush to the front. But where were you and what were you thinking when all those awards were being mentioned and your son's name was attached to all of them?
Well, I felt big, I felt great. I was there. I was at the back and, I was...
Cheering him.
Cheering him.
Right. Right. Had you always known that your son was this exceptional?
Yes, he's always been.
Mm. And so how did you notice that in his early years and what prompted you into thinking, no, this boy, there's something special about him?
Well, he did everything differently. And he was not the type who would accept, poor performance.
You were an intrinsic motivator, like you draw from within, right? You don't need to be pushed to do what you want to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go back to you as a young boy. Had you always wanted to be a doctor?
Yes. It's always been my dream to be a doctor. As I was growing up, watching on television, movies, seeing doctors moving around, and the way they go about their activities, it was something that caught my interest. So yes, it was something that I had always dreamt of becoming. Yeah.
Right, and that was the only thing on your mind. Nothing else crossed your mind?
No,
it has always been a doctor. Okay, so run me through your basic school through to high school. As for university, we know where you went to, but tell us about your basic and secondary education. Where did you have them?
So I had my basic school education at Kujeri Memorial School. Yes.
In Cape Coast?
No, that was
Where is that?
New Barry.
Okay, Kujeri. Okay.
Kujeri Memorial School. Then I went on to St. Peter's Senior High School. I'm a proud Pesco back.
Okay, Pesco back. Congratulations. I know when I get home I won't rest, but it's okay. But the interesting thing about Dr. Kojo is that he represented his school during the National Science and Maths quiz.
Yes.
Wow. What level did you get to then?
Unfortunately, we were eliminated at the quarterfinals by Accra Academy.
By Accra. Yeah. Okay.
That's my dad's school, so.
Oh. Okay, so I'm sure your dad was torn who to support then.
Exactly.
Were you there for that contest?
Yes, I was there.
Okay, and so you were watching your son who was representing St. Peter's, and then there's your school. Who got your support that day?
St. Peter's, of course.
Wow. The love of a father can push him from loving his school to his son's school is understandable. So from St. Peter's through to UCC, entering medical school, I have friends who are medical students and relatives as well. And sometimes they come home looking like they've been beaten by the rain. I'm like, what's happening to you? And they're like, oh, tell it. I mean, this is... we knew it would be hard, but this is some battle for us. What was it like for you in medical school?
Yes, so I think generally medical school system, the level of stress there, it cuts across every medical school. It's something that's how the system has been designed to be, because when you come out, you're going to take care of human beings, and any mistake you do can, cost someone their life. So that's how the system has been designed to be. So yes, it was really stressful for me as well. Going through the modules, and specifically for our system, the way our system is organized, we do a modular system and we write exams almost every 2 to 3 weeks. So that's even another stress. But I would say what helped me to go through it, first of all, I need to acknowledge the grace of God, because you can't go through a system like this without the grace of God. Secondly, support from my parents, my dad and mom especially, both financial and emotional support, my siblings. Then my lecturers as well, who, if it weren't for them, they trained me to be here. Yeah, I'm a doctor because I was trained by my senior colleagues. So yes, my lecturers, I want to mention one of them, my own vice dean, Professor Leonard Dechi-Kwatin. He was very, very instrumental. He motivated me and challenged me, pushed me to my limits. So I'm very grateful to him for that. I also want to say, support from my colleagues as well. The way the medical school training is something that you can't do it as an individual.
Right.
You need a lot of support from your colleagues and all that. So yeah, I'm also grateful to my colleagues as well.
And what's the future like for you? What would you want to specialize in? And then what would you like to see yourself? Where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years?
Okay, so at the moment, I'm considering neurology for now. Hopefully, by the time I complete my housemanship, things will be much clearer. Yeah, but for now, I'm considering neurology. And I'm doing that because I have the passion to contribute to stroke management in the country, because I believe that there's a lot that can still be done with respect to stroke management. So I'm thinking about, hopefully, as I finish with my training and after a number of years experience, hoping to set up a stroke facility specifically designed to management of stroke patients, so that at least some of the complications that they are faced with, all the staff there in those facilities will be well trained in order to deal with that. Yeah.
Interesting. He wants to be a neurologist. I'm told that that's like one hard area, but you're not one for giving up, right?
No.
How do you motivate yourself? Because your father said that you're not the one who likes to perform poorly. For many people, they rely on external motivation. So you have to talk to them, you have to tell them, go and read your books. But your dad says you're not that kind. Self-motivated. How do you, or where do you get that from? What keeps you going?
Yes. Personally, I believe that it's quite difficult to get to the top. And it's even more difficult to stay at the top. So throughout my education, in one way or the other, I happen to be in the spotlight. So any examination you write, anything that you do, like people are looking at you. So you don't even have space to not perform well. You always have to be giving off your best because people are looking at you, both your lecturers and your colleagues. So that is a form of motivation for you to always make sure you're giving off your best and you cannot let the standards drop.
Interesting. So you're doing a blend of both. You're self-motivating, and then you also don't want to disappoint those who have so much hope in you. Do you have a social life?
I do.
Because, the notion is that smart people, and the term we use in Ghana is buklong. Yeah. Oh, where buklong, where there, on yeshe. Tell me what you do to have fun.
Okay, so I do a lot. I'm more of an indoor person.
Okay.
Personally, I'm more of an indoor person. So I like watching movies a lot during my leisure time.
Do you watch series? The Good Doctor?
I think I actually watch a lot of other series.
Okay, not so like just staying away, just
exactly,
something else, yeah.
You just need to sometimes stay off it to just refresh your mind and stay sane. Yeah, so movies, I play a lot of video games personally. Yeah. And I hang out with friends as well as and when I get the time. So, yeah.
Okay, so he's not boring, please. Okay, right. Okay. So which of these awards surprised you the most? I'm sure going through school, you know that, this is my field. I did visual arts, and my favorite course was ceramics. So I wasn't surprised when I got an A in ceramics. There were other ones that was like, okay, that was tough. I wasn't expecting that. Which of these awards did that for you? Gave you that vibe?
Okay, it should be the best student in the final MBCHB Part 2. Yes, because for that...
Please, what is MBCHB? Please, we don't know.
Oh, okay. So it's more of it's Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. It's the name of the degree for when you complete medical school. Exactly. So for the MBCHB, final part 2 is made up of internal medicine.
Okay.
And surgery.
Okay.
And for that particular exam, it's more like a licensure exam. So when we were done, we didn't get to see the exact value of the results. So nobody knew who was going to take that particular award. Yeah. So we only got to know it when we
on that particular day. Interesting. I mean, watching that video made me smile a lot because I could see a lot of love, especially from your colleagues. You know, because when you talk about how you're trained, it makes me understand it better. Because usually in school, you know, young people are very competitive, and sometimes, whether we like it or not, someone may feel that, oh, I deserve. But it looked like all your mates were like, yeah, the support was there. Tell me what your relationship is like with your colleagues.
Yeah, so as I stated initially, early on in our discussion, the way the training is, we are mostly put into a lot of groups. So by the time you actually get out of the system, you feel one way or the other being in a group with your mates, and you've been involved in a number of activities together. So it's a close-knit sort of thing. Yeah, we are all united. We do a lot of things together, and we've one way or the other had to work to achieve something together. So we are all happy together, and we work. We are happy when the other person succeeds. So that's how it is.
I like that. And there was no controversy about it. I was at an award ceremony, and someone was adjudged the overall best student, and someone shouted, a student, it's not true, he's not the one. Yeah, but in your case, your colleagues were cheering you on, so this is undisputed. Nathaniel is the overall best student for his class. But Dad, let me ask you a controversial question. Who does he get this from, you or Mom?
I guess both of us.
Okay. What do you do? I like that. Okay, but what has been your training? What do you also have interest in the medical field? Does he draw inspiration? Because you know sometimes you find that that's a lineage, like a family of lawyers or a family of doctors. Okay. Does he get that from any of you, or this is a direct branch out from what the family?
No, he doesn't get that from us. So I think he's riding on his own, man.
I like that. And you allowed him to shine in his own space. That's great. Because we speak to a lot of parents who now understand that you have to let the child find their space and blossom, and not necessarily lord it over them because it's a family tradition or blah, 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 blah. So neurology, you said. And how many years will it take you to do that if you have to do it?
Yeah, it would take averagely about 6 to 7 years averagely. Yeah. It could take longer, you know, at the end of the training, you need to write an exam, so it depends on how quickly you have to pass
Nathaniel,
the
you will
exam.
pass the exam. You're trying to be modest, we understand, but clearly you will pass it on the first try. And you said something about the grace of God. You're religious? You're Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you... And in this day and age, I find that interesting because in other parts of the world, gradually science seems to move away from the concept of a God or a certain spiritual force. But for you, how do the two work together? The belief that there is a God and the belief in science.
Yeah. So personally, I don't understand why that problem usually comes up. I believe that as you learn more about science, you tend to discover a lot more things. And that should rather, make you be in awe of who created. So you should be thinking like, who actually created all these things? Because these things were there. What science is doing is just discovering things which are already there. It's not like they were not in existence. They were there, but science is discovering it. So the question should be, who created these things? And personally, as a Christian, I believe that they were created by God. So in studying science, as you go further and further ahead, your belief in God should actually be strengthened as you see the marvelous work he's doing.
And so how do you, I mean, and I'm thinking, so for example, how do you connect the two in the field or in the line of duty? I have heard of doctors who would always say a quick prayer before they see their clients, or who would say, no, he's not dead, and have faith and work at it and resuscitate until the person comes. Like there's that hope and belief in them. How do you marry the two in the line of duty?
Okay, so initially, medical practice was more on treating the condition that a patient presents with. But gradually, as time goes on, we are being encouraged to treat the whole person, like the whole human being. So it's more of a patient-centered care, and it's a holistic care. So if you realize when we are managing patients who are getting towards end-of-life care, you tend to involve the chaplain, because this patient has a faith that they believe in. And all those things are very important, because you need to know the spirituality of the patient, so that you know when to bring the chaplain in order to help, build the faith of such a person. Yeah.
Really exciting. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot of young people watching you who are thinking to themselves, I mean, beyond getting the awards, you look like a very happy young man. You don't look like you were forced into anything. And for me, that's what matters. And you look like a happy young man who's achieved so much but still wants to achieve more. What would you like to tell younger people who are watching you, people who would aspire to be like you?
Okay, so what I want to say is that you should always, as an individual, you should have a fixed goal that you want to achieve. And let's say if you are planning to move from a point A to point C, immediately you get to point B, you shouldn't be too comfortable at the point B that you are. You should always have it at the back of your mind that I initially set up to get to point C. So even if you are in point B and you are doing so well, you shouldn't be so comfortable. You should always seek to achieve the best of yourself. Try for the best.
So you've, like I mentioned, you've trended, people have spoken about you on social media and all, and then you met the vice president. Tell me how that meeting happened and how it made you feel.
For the vice president's meeting, it wasn't something I was expecting, so I had a call to meet the vice president, and I think it was on a Monday. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to meet the vice president. So it was a really great feeling and humbling as well, because the truth is not everyone gets the opportunity to meet the vice president of the country. So it's a really humbling experience for me. Yeah.
Right, and we'll be showing you those pictures shortly, his meeting with the vice president and what that means for him as a young man who's achieved so much. So beyond the field of work and wanting to do neurology, as a person who lives within this space, how would you like to see medicine evolve, especially in this country?
Yeah, so I think as time has gone on, there are lots of improvements that we've already seen in the field of medicine in terms of infrastructure, training of more health personnel. So I still think, in every system, there's still a lot of room for improvement. So there's still a lot that can be done in terms of infrastructure. Because as time goes on, we are training a lot more medical doctors, and it's important to have the facilities to absorb them into the system. Then also there's this problem of brain drain that is coming up again. A lot of our professionals are leaving the country. And the problem is there's still the young professionals who are leaving the country, not the older ones. So I think there should be innovative ways to try and create an environment where the young professionals would love to stay in the country and contribute to our country.
Yeah. You're a brilliant young man. I was just going to ask you about the brain drain, because the Ghana Health Service is really worried, especially with the nurses and doctors who are leaving the country post-COVID era and going to other places. So, Dad, he's number what? Because he mentioned his siblings.
He's number 6.
Number 6. Are you the last born?
Oh, there's one more.
There's one more. All right. And so when you see him and you look at your children and you look at all that they've achieved, as a father, you must clearly be proud. But I'd like you to talk to parents who are watching us, who may see that, okay, I have a young boy who's 2 or 3, he's beginning to show some signs of being an exceptionally good student, how do they help that child and nurture the child to achieve, like we've seen Nathaniel do?
Yeah, I think that, like you already said, you allow them the space and then encourage them, motivate them, you know. For instance, you know, you don't allow them to deviate from, you know, from what they've set out.
So you're almost like you're checking. You allow them to set the goals, but you are the one who's watching that they stay on course.
Keep an eye.
Was there any point in his life that you felt, boy, come back on track?
No, not
okay.
really. I can't remember any such. No, there was no such. You know, it depends on the way you train your child.
Right, right.
And the kind of relationship that, you know, you build with your children. That keeps them on course.
And so, I mean, if I get what you mean, you must deliberately be involved in the life of your child. Tell us some of the practical things that you did to prove to Nathaniel that you were there for him and you were involved.
Well, he was never in want of anything. But that's what, you know, as parents we did with all of them. And once they can get whatever they want, I think they will concentrate on what they are doing.
Right.
You see, they will not be in school and run out of whatever. So constantly, consciously, you must ensure that, you know, you are supporting them such that they will concentrate on what they are doing.
I like that. Quite recently, we had a conversation about the use of gadgets for children, and the whole conversation about parenting in today's age came up, and that's why I was asking you that question about some of the deliberate things. So did you restrict him, for example? Were there things that you told him, Nathaniel, you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do this, which helped him in becoming that disciplined person he did?
Yes. There's always that side of parenting. Yeah. For instance, if the child will spend the whole day, you know, watching telly or playing with their gadgets, it will not take them anywhere. So, you know, you have to set the rules and ensure that, you know, the rules are working. That's the only way you can get them to achieve what they want to achieve. Otherwise, you know, they will just fall off. The time he has to be on his books, he will be watching something else or doing something else. The distractions are too many. So as parents, I think that we need to deliberately be involved in that aspect of training.
Right. If you just joined us, I've been speaking to Dr. Nathaniel Ni Antie Kojo and his dad, Emmanuel Akushe Kojo. And Dr. Nathaniel swept 16 out of 22 awards during the 55th congregation of UCC. And I would just like to wrap up with them shortly here on the show. And if you missed any part of this conversation, please do well to catch up. You can do so on YouTube or on our Facebook page once we are done with this segment and it's uploaded. Did you grow up in a strict background? Were your parents strict?
Yes and no. Yes and no at the same time. Because I feel like even if they were strict, it wasn't too much. It was just to ensure
it was just what you needed, the amount of strictness you needed.
Exactly.
And how do you think that helped you, that made you who you are?
Yeah, I believe like he initially pointed out, as the child is growing up, these are things you need to like inculcate in the child at a very young age. And by God's grace, I was able to get that at a very young age. So even when I got to the university level, where you are more or less on your own, you decide how and when, like what you do with your time. Because of the training that I had received, I was a better manager of my time, I believe. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doc. And I would definitely interview you here once you become that neurologist and when you build that clinic. So the big dream is to have a stroke management clinic. I won't forget you because you're exceptional, and I'll be on the lookout for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Doc and Dad. And well, we move into other aspects of our conversation. And you know, it's Good Friday, and we will be zooming a little bit into something churchy when I host CT Praise. And they'll be here to tell us more about their album they'll be releasing shortly, and HCI, which will be coming on Sunday evening, which is Resurrection Sunday evening. I'm going to take a sip of water, and definitely from Awake Purified Drinking Water, One for Life. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. They have the perfect sizes for all occasions, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and the latest 1.5 liters for those who always want more. The 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for offices and homes. Now, all you must do is drink Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake Purified Drinking Water today and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, One for Life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center and is proudly produced by Casapreco. Here's the number to call if you want to purchase in bulk: 026-235-1251, 026-235-1251. This advert is FDA approved. We'll be back with more. Do stay.
Takwa, an old mining town, is dotted with age-old underground shafts. Two of them, the Fanti Mines, an old deep shaft mine on the hilly outskirts of the town, and the Akun Mines, have been taken over and converted into government-sanctioned community mining schemes. A third shaft, the Apinto Mines, sitting on Goldfields Company's land close to Asaman Kakraba, is considered illegal. It is operated by a chief at Takwa. In 2022, a Takwa High Court placed an injunction on their operations there, but the order was ignored. Currently, there are attempts to take over the old Mantram shaft at Brahababume, which sits in Goldfields Ghana's active mining zone. Despite the company's warning against the move, these individuals and their Chinese collaborators are preparing to turn it into a community mining scheme with government support.
So where I'm standing now is between the Pepe pit and the Tibribi pit, all belonging to the Goldfields Company Limited. Now, the Tibribi pit is the deepest of their pits and is about 100 to 150 meters close to their Mantram shaft. Now, this is the danger, the possibility that their main activities as an active mine will conflict with that of the community, proposed community mining. When they blast, you get flying stones everywhere, and it is possible that the impact itself could endanger the lives of anybody who is using the Mantram shaft as a community mining. And that threat is what many sources within the company are trying to prevent.
All these places bear the tagline community mining, but on the ground, the real ownership and the community share is not clear. A clear example is the Akun community mining inaugurated by the Lands Ministry. While the government says the scheme belongs to the community, Unit Committee Chairman Frank Boham and his executives deny this.
The community has decided to go on demonstration because he claims the activity is Akun community mining. But none of our leaders have a stake in it. We don't have any representation on it.
It doesn't belong to Akon. Nobody can claim that it belongs to Akon. Go there and see. You have the leaders of the MPP being in charge of the community mining. You call that? It's political mining. It's not community mining.
They show me deep cracks in individual homes as a result of blasting from the Akun community mining scheme.
When they blast, it shakes the building. That is what is cracking this building. You see the line of the crack from here to that end. I don't know how to fix this because even if I fix it, they are still mining and blasting.
Old man in Adinia, I had
We've been here since the old mining times, but things were not like this. But it is when they started the community mining, long blasting, that our buildings started experiencing these cracks. All of us in this area are affected. If you look at my building, my tiles are cracked, the walls are affected. It is serious. We pray the building doesn't collapse on us. Requests for responses from the MCE for Takwa did not receive any response. Meanwhile, there are signs of an intended inauguration of more of these community mining schemes in areas designated dangerous by Goldfields Ghana Limited. Sources at the Goldfields say any attempt to use the Mantram shaft for a similar community scheme will result in a tragedy. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Takwa, Western Region.
So we're going to delve a bit more into that issue highlighted in the feature by my colleague Erastus Asaredonko. And we have a unit committee member at Abotiakon, Selina Boabing, on the line with us. And this conversation is important because thankfully we now have a response from Takwa Community Mining, which is responsible for mining in that area, which you just saw. We've also been joined by its media public relations manager, Kojo Safo. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining the program, lady and gentleman. So let me start with you, Selina. The Takwa Community Mining, that's TCM, rejects the claims that there is no member of the community as part of that project or involved in that project. And that's the second point in their statement. They say the TCM wishes to place on record that Akan community is well represented in the management board of the company, with 3 of their own members out of the 10-member board going contrary to the assertion that no member of the Akan community is part of the leadership of the mine. That's just by way of information for you, Madam Selina Boabing. But Mr. Kojo Safo, are you able to tell us who these 3 people are? I'm sure the community members of Akan know the people there, and they can identify these people if you mention their names. So who are these 3 members you refer to? Do I have Mr. Safo on the line? Hello, Mr. Kojo Safo. If you heard me, I'm referring to the second point in your statement where you say 3 out of 10 members of the Takwa Community Mining Board are members of the Akon community. Who are these people? What are their names? Well, we appear to have a problem with the audio there, so let's try and rectify it. Initially, we're trying to connect with him via phone, via Zoom, I beg your pardon. Hopefully, we'll do so via phone and see if the lines will help us there. But let me speak to Madam Selina Boabing, who is a unit committee member of Akan. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. So, TCM says there are 3 members of their board who are from your community. Since the story was aired, have you gathered any new information regarding the involvement of community members of Akan in this mining?
For this opportunity. First of all, let me make a correction here. The President of the Republic, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, did not commission Takwa Community Mining. He commissioned Akon Community Mining. So the name is Akon Community Mining. It's not Takwa Community Mining. That is my first point. Secondly, if they are claiming that Abontiakon has 3 representative of the leaders of the community mining. Please, who appointed them? I really want Mr. Staffel to be online whilst we speak. I'll be very happy if he's there, because who appointed those people to represent the people of Akon? The people of Akon have not appointed anybody to represent them at the community mining, comprising the chief, the assemblyman, and the unit committee. We have not appointed anybody to stand for us at the Akon community mining. So if they are claiming that there are 3 people representing us, then who appointed those people to stand up for Akon? That is my question. If they can answer me. We have not appointed anybody to stand in the name of Abonchi Akon at the Akon community mining. So if they are claiming that we are being represented there, then who appointed those people to represent us?
Right, and that's the question I'm also seeking answers to. In fact, I want more specifics. I want names mentioned here so that you can verify later. But the issue about the naming, whether it's Takwa Community Mining or Akon Community Mining, on behalf of the President, George Mreku Duka, that's Deputy Minister of Lands and Resources, inaugurated a community mining program in Takwa, in the Takwa Nsia municipality. All right. So I think that this is all under that scheme, which includes Akon, because on the headline of the statement I've seen from Takwa Community Mining, they labeled it as Takwa Community Mining into bracket Akon.
It is just a scheme to make it look like Akon is not the host community of the mine. That is why they've intentionally changed the name from Akon Community Mining to Takwa Community Mining. But the name inaugurated by the President of the Republic is Akon Community Mining. It's not Takwa Community Mining. And the host community is Akon. And we will not allow them to change that. Because the mine is being done in Akon, not anywhere else in Takwa. Takwa is a municipality. How can it be a community? Takwa is a whole municipality. So how can Takwa be a community?
Right.
So they are lying through this. We don't have any representation at the Akon Community Mining. Because if we were being represented, it was supposed to be the chief, the assemblyman, elders, and unit committee who are supposed to appoint someone to represent us. We are not even informed when the mine was even inaugurated. So what are they saying that we are being represented there?
All right. So forgive me. So I'm seeing, as we're speaking, I'm doing some research on the side. So there was the Akon Community Mining, which was launched by the President himself. He was there in the community, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in he did it at the UMAT auditorium.
Yes.
I think the mine, one of the auditorium.
Yes, and the MP for Takwa Nsia, that's George Mreku Duka, was present there, right?
Yes, he was present.
So there was
present.
All right. So there was another one launched, which was the Takwa Community Mining, which was done on behalf of the President by George Mreku Duka. I just needed to clarify that. So
please, madam, it's the same mine.
Yeah, no. So I'm getting your point about why you think that
it's
Akon,
the same mine. It's the same mine.
Yes.
And
so
if the claim is Takwa Community Mine, it's in Akon. The mine is in Akon.
Right.
Not anywhere else. It's in Akon. And we must be represented over there.
Okay. So at the time the commission was done by the President, we were told that about 1,000 people were supposed to benefit. Beyond your concern about the representation of community members of Akon on the board, has any or have any of your community members benefited from this project?
As for there are thousands of people working in the community mining as I'm speaking. And of course, once people are working, then people are. Akon asset has not benefited from this community mine. Reading from the statement that I'm making, a statement that they have a community center for Akon. This program was promised to a project that was promised to the community by the MP of Takwa when he was during campaign time, and I know that that is what the MP commissioned to do for us. So we know that project has no bearing to the community mining.
Right.
It's a project that the MP of Takwa in Swahili, Honorable George Kuduka, promised the people of Abontrakun when he was campaigning. So after elections, he came to meet us and told us that as he promised, he's going to fulfill his promise. And he came to cut the short for the project to commence. So how come all of a sudden the project is now for Akon community mining?
For Takwa community mining, okay,
for Takwa community
all right.
mining.
So another thing or issue raised in that statement is that they cannot or it cannot be said without justification that the cracks in the buildings are necessarily as a result of the activities of the TCM at Akon. They say, for example, that many multinational companies, mining companies, have worked there. They say that about 2 weeks ago, the office of TCM was served with a letter from the Municipal Mining Oversight Committee to a meeting on the alleged building cracks in Akon community, from which the Minerals Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency were tasked to do their independent assessment on the cracks and report accordingly to the committee as to whether these cracks were as a result of the activities of TCM or otherwise. How do you pin these cracks to the activities of TCM? They claim that other mining communities have existed and that they think that it is ridiculous for us to just lay the blame on these cracks squarely at your feet.
Thank you for the question, madam. We have a lot gold mining in Akon, mining here for a very long time. Have you heard of us complaining that there has been cracks in our building? If gold has been doing blasting, that is affecting our community. I think the whole community would have stood up and had a big demonstration against company. Why are we not demonstrating against GoForce? Because GoForce is mining far away from the community now. And therefore, the blasting that is currently going on is from the Akon community mine. You can never justify the fact that the blasting, the cracks in the building is not associated with the activities. Come to the community, come to my own house.
All right, Selina, just take a quick pause for me. I don't want to lose Mr. Safo again. He's been able to reconnect. Kojo Safo is Media and Public Relations Manager at the Takwa Community Mining. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining the program. So we've just been going through portions of your statement released in response to concerns raised by community members in that feature we just aired before the conversation. You say that there are 3 members of the Akon community who are part of the board of TCM. Madam Selina Boabing highly doubts that. Would you be able to provide us names so that we can easily verify if these people are indeed members of the community, so at least we can put that matter to rest?
Hello?
Hi, did you hear me? Sorry, Mr. Kojo Safo, you would have to mute your television set. It will give us really bad feedback. Hello, Mr. Kojo Safo, if you can hear me, who are these 3 members of the Akon community who you say are part of the TCM's board? What are their names?
I hope it's okay now.
Much better.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Hello, Mr. Safo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I am asking you to give us names of the 3 people you say are from the Akan community and are part of TCM's board.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity, and we would like to say hi to each and everyone that is listening and viewing this morning. And as you rightly said, I've listened to the conversation that you had with Selina, and if she wants to know actually the 3 names that are on the management list, we have Mr. Francis Kwao, that's popularly known in the Akon community as Adiaba. If she can confirm or deny if he's not part of Akon community. We also have Honorable Saidu Mohammed, who he was the former 2015 the last election assembly member at Akon. So he has served as an assembly member of the community before. She can also attest to it or deny. And the last one is Mr. Daniel Ndroba, popularly known as Nana Ndro, who is also a community member at Akon. She can also come out and deny or confirm to that.
Okay. Selina, did you hear the names? Do you know these people? Are they members of your community? Hello, Selina?
Represent the community.
Hello, Selina?
I'm asking you to ask him for me. Who appointed those people to represent the community?
But are they members? Are they people known to you? Do you know them?
They are people living in Akon. They are not appointed by the community to represent us. They are part members of the MPP, and they appointed them themselves to represent their interests. They are not there in the interest of Akon. They are there for their own personal interests. They are not appointed by the community to represent us.
All right. Mr. Safo, how were these people selected to be a part of the board from the community? What was the process of zeroing in on these 3 people?
This question. We have the Municipal Mining Oversight Committee. That's chaired by the Municipal Chief Executive and a host of other dignitaries on the committee. We have the Municipal Security couples also on the committee. We have the Minerals Commission. We have the Forestry Commission. We have the EPA. And all appointments comes from these individuals on the authority of the president. They work on the authority of the president. And Takwa Community Mining Leadership does not appoint members to serve on the board. So they are all done. It is a government institution, so every appointment that is done here is done by the government.
All right, so if I get you clearly, the municipal mining community determined that these 3 people should represent the Akan community on the board. Were they introduced to the members of the community as their representatives on the board? Hello, Mr. Safo, did you get my question?
Yeah, please, can you come again?
I was asking if what you mean to say is that the municipal mining community determined that these 3 people should represent the Akan community on the board, and if they were ever introduced to the community as their representatives on the board.
They were introduced as the representatives of the Akon community at the inauguration.
At the inauguration. All right. Selina, sorry, Mr. Safo. I just want to do this as quickly as possible so we can touch on other aspects or concerns raised in the feature. Selina, Mr. Safo says these people were introduced to you during the inauguration, that they were going to represent you. You were there, right?
Invited to the commission of the Akon community mining. So how were they introduced to us? We're not the assemblyman and committee, none and others. We're not If the chief came there, he came there on own accord. But the assemblyman committee, the elders, the community were not informed about the meeting of the.
Are you saying to me, Selina, that when the president arrived, the community was not aware that he was coming there?
I'm not talking about the president. The members of the board were not introduced when the president came in. The members of the board were introduced when the MP of Takwa in Swayemi, Honorable George Kuduka, came to commission the mine.
Okay.
And we were not informed. We were not invited. So how do you tell us that these people represent us when we are not aware of what is going on?
Right, and so clearly, I mean, it will be an unending conversation if I keep going back and forth. So, Selina, what is your desire? What do you want? The company says that these people are representing you on the board. You're saying otherwise. What do you want from TCM?
I want TCM to include
And that is CT Praise. And this Easter Sunday evening, just this coming Sunday, get ready for 3 hours of non-stop praise and worship in the presence of the Lord as we celebrate his resurrection at the 2023 edition of the He Lives concert. And this year, the ultimate Easter musical concert will feature the launch of the debut album of CT Praise, dubbed The Encounter, and it promises to be an unforgettable night. The date is Sunday night, April 2023, doors open at 5 p.m. At ICGC Christ Temple East, Teshi. Performing live will be CT Praise and a host of other performers. This event is brought to you by ICGC Christ Temple East with media support from yours truly, Joy FM, Hits FM, Joy Prime, JoyNews, and myjoyonline.com. Be sure to stream and listen to CT Praise's brand new single, Lala Dance Medley, right? And that's what we are playing now on all streaming platforms and right here on your favorite station. So this morning, I've got Sandra Houston Kelly, fantastic singer. Trust me, when I say fantastic, I mean it. She's trying to be modest, but she's a very fantastic singer. She's a member of CT Praise, and Derek as well. Derek Ade is also a member of CT Praise. So welcome, guys. I'm elated to host you, and welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us about CT Praise.
CT Praise is an urban contemporary ministry of Christ Temple East, Teshi, which is, of course, the head office of ICGC churches. I think that's basically it.
Okay. Well, I know about Christ Temple, and when was CT Praise formed?
Well, CT Praise has always been in existence, but the name was given or was how should I put it? The name was coined, I think this year. Yes.
All right, CT Praise it is. So, Derek, would you want to share with us about your first single, I Have Come Back?
Yeah, so about a month ago, we released our very first single from our debut album, which we're launching this Sunday. It featured Nathaniel Bassi. I've Come Back. It's a ballad, really good song. Sure, your viewers have heard it. Yeah, it was really good. And then now we released a second single,
which is the Lala Medley,
which is Lala Dance Medley. Yeah, which is
more upbeat, you know, like something you can groove to. Yeah. Right. All right. So this debut album, tell us. So we know about the first one he mentioned, I Have Come Back. And I've heard that, so it features Edwin Datsun. Yeah, that's Edwin Datsun. Yeah, that's him, Pastor Edwin Datsun. And that's Pastor Ella, and that's Sandra on there. So I've heard that medley involving, featuring, I beg your pardon, Nathaniel Bassi. But tell us more about the other songs on the album. What are we going to be thrilled to? What are we going to experience on that album?
Well, this album, I mean, it's called The Encounter album. It's called The Encounter album because the songs on the album are basically speaking about an encounter with Jesus Christ. And so when you go through it, we've managed to blend different elements, musical elements, to touch different people because we know that everyone has different, genre preferences. So we did well to, mix and incorporate, styles. And I think it's a fantastic album, really. Definitely to win and change lives.
Change lives, yeah. Wow. So what's the unique selling proposition of CT Praise? Why should we come for the event on Sunday? What will we experience on that particular day?
I mean, apart from the energy that these guys put up every time, I mean, if you watch the video for Lala Dance, you can tell the energy. Yeah. It's electric every single time they step on stage. And the songwriting in the music, it's unique. If you listen to I've Come Back, it's almost like a prayer and a worship all in one. When you listen to Lala Dance medley, even though it's an Afro praise medley, if you listen to every single song in the medley, you can tell it's backed by scripture. It's a prayer. And so even as you're dancing, you're actually talking to your maker, and that's really one of the biggest strengths is the songwriting. I mean, when you have Pastor Edwin Datsun, you have Sandra Houston Kelly, you have Pastor Ella Somora, the scripture will be there. It will be laid bare, and you'll feel it in the music.
And can I just add to it that this album was birthed through a retreat. We actually went on a retreat to wait on the Lord. We prayed, we gathered, we fellowshipped. It was a very beautiful 5 days of making music, waiting on the Lord, and for the very first time we wrote some of the songs together. Collectively.
Right.
Yes.
And I must say this though, that it's, for me, the most heartwarming thing, and many people have been talking about churches, having music labels and premiere, but for me the most heartwarming thing is to see Pastor Ella, who is a musician. I know they serve the church, Pastor Edwin Datsun, who is a musician, decide and say, look, for the collective good, let's come together. And that excites me a lot. I've just got about 2 minutes to wrap up, but I want to put you guys on the spot. Today is Good Friday. Yes. Why? Today's Good Friday, so this is the song I want to hear. What's the song? It just came to me, please. It wasn't easy,
but it was worth it. Which song is it? That's CC Winans?
Yes. So you can just do the chorus. It wasn't easy.
We're here to promote CC.
I know. I understand. Okay, do you have an Easter song? Or something that can...
Well, yeah,
okay, so do the worship thing. Yeah, do the worship thing.
The worship thing.
At the well.
I've come back.
At the well.
So Sandra has a song on the album called At the Well.
Okay.
So I'll give a teaser.
Okay, please give us a teaser quickly. That's what we used to wrap up the show. Thank you so much for watching. News Desk is up next.
How does At the Well start?
Put her on the spot, you can understand.
Okay, no problem. Leaving for the well with a weight I could not bear, with nothing going well.